welcome to the Sigma Show, episode 101. I am your host, Sigma. Just before I let you know who's joining me this week, real fast, we'll go over what our topics are going to be. We've got 3 this week. Who knows how long they'll actually go? I think I have a talkative bunch, so this might be a longer show. Anyhow, Suicide, Kill the Justice League, has been officially delayed to next February. It had a really bad showing the last time we did see it, so there was a short delay. But this is a full-on several months pushback. So we'll talk about like maybe what the thinking could be behind this. Final Fantasy 16 had a state of play dedicated to it, like 20 or 25 or so minutes of just straight up gameplay and information about that title. We'll get into that. And finally, in business news, Sega is apparently close to closing a deal to acquire the Angry Birds publisher Rovio. So we can maybe speculate as to what Sega has in mind for this mobile dev legend. But then again, like, is Angry Birds still a big deal? Here to talk with me about such questions, Honey Money.
Hello.
Jemate, also known as Design Delve.
What's up?
You got them swapped. You got them swapped.
Yeah.
On the
I haven't swapped.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's old.
I am a bright white British man currently.
All right, I will fix that.
I've never felt so privileged.
If someone asks me what you like, I'm like, he's bright and white.
Do you know what? A bright is a really good way to describe me. I'm the palest person.
You're bright in several ways because you're also very smart. So there you go.
Aw.
Marty saved it.
I wouldn't go that far. I wouldn't go that far.
And then
Thank
Jemate
you.
tore it down.
You talk about diegesis all the time. That's a smart term.
That
Marty,
diet Jesus.
Repeating the
Jesus.
same word doesn't make you smart.
Yeah,
Like,
you talk about the jissy all the time.
because I've said the
And
word
on that
potato
note,
about
man-
1,000 times.
Before this goes any further, let me introduce Mick Biggity, Marty Sleever.
Hello.
Welcome everybody to the Sigma Show. We're kind of back from a tiny bit of a hiatus. There was no show last week because that was the week after I'd come back from the Milwaukee trip. So I kind of took that weekend to try and recalibrate my mind to like regular life. But prior to that, we did a live show in Milwaukee for the 100th episode. If you have not checked that out, please do. I mean, you don't have to do it right now because this is a current live show, so stay here. But go listen to it or watch it because we were actually all in the same place. It was me, Amy, Jesse, and Jack. Jack and Amy, who had not been on the show prior, was their first time, probably only time, let's be real, of them probably showing up for the show. So it was a fun time. But as we tend to do with this show is start with what we've been playing, watching, reading, listening to, whatever is on the front of your mind and you want to share with the class. Even other news that maybe I didn't stick into this run a show. Share with us. Anybody want feel like going
How
first?
come Zelda's not on the road show? What's going on there?
There's a reason for that. It's
You been
because
playing Tears of the Kingdom? You got
has nothing to do with embargoes. No, it's because the last show we did, we also talked about the latest Zelda trailer. And it seems a little redundant to be like, all right, we're back, and here's another Zelda trailer. Because especially since we were very excited about the last one. Like, I don't think
And
that
the last one was
conversation's gonna
long.
change.
It was like the gameplay chunk
Right,
thing,
yeah.
presentation. Yeah.
And
This
you
one
definitely
was
bring it
really
up
good.
if it's if
This
front
one
of
was
mind,
really
but-
good.
The trailer was really good. I remember watching it and being like, damn, this is a fucking good trailer.
Which is
Like,
pretty much exactly the conversation we had the last time we were talking about the Zelda trailer.
Yeah, there's not. It's funny. People have been asking me in chats like, "What'd you think of the trailer?" And I really don't have anything to say other than like it was really good.
It was really good. I liked it.
I just think it was really good.
I think I would
It
play
made
it
me
again.
excited.
Yeah. But tying it into stuff we've been playing, I've been going through Skyward Sword. Hot take: that game gets an unfair deal. A
agreed.
lot of people hate that game.
Wait, which game?
and
Sorry, I
I agree.
missed it.
Skyward Sword.
I would.
Oh yeah, I'm
I
one of those
didn't
people. I
hate
hate that game.
Yeah. So I
Oh.
think the weird controls, which got slightly less weird on the Switch because you can use the analog stick, are still weird. And it is linear as all heck. But the dungeon design and the sort of the weapons you get in the dungeons are really good. Like really, like way better dungeon design in my opinion than a bulk of Twilight Princess or even Wind Waker, which I love Wind Waker, but I don't think its dungeons are one of its strong suits. So I've been enjoying going through that, and yeah, it's funny. I feel like coming out of this full Zelda playthrough, I'm going to be in the minority saying that Twilight Princess is very low and that Skyward Sword is weirdly high. So did not expect that going into this.
Ooh.
Okay, I mean, you do have
Yeah.
it is more front of mind for you as you just replayed most of them.
Yeah, yeah.
Like what I will hold on to is because the version of Skyward Sword that I played was the original Wii
The Wii
version
one.
that used the Wii motion controls, and it was like I've never quit a Zelda game. At least not as early as I quit Skyward Sword. Like I never finished Majora's Mask for design reasons.
Yeah.
But Skyward Sword, from the get go, I just had no fun with whatsoever. And like, if they change those controls, that's a fundamental difference in what this new version of Skyward Sword is
Sure.
versus what the
Yeah.
other one is. So I still hold fast to the idea that the Wii version of Skyward Sword is a shit game. Like, it's terrible.
Yeah. And it sounds like they also like dialed back on your sword companion fee sort of
Yeah, she
popping
used to
up
like
and
annoy you all the
sword
time.
explain you everything kind of.
Swordsplain, yeah.
Yeah, I mean it would be like the like the pre God of War Ragnarok of them like showing up and telling you how to solve a puzzle. Being like, you don't need to do that. I'm like, I'll try this myself, and I'll ask you if I need help.
Swords definitely have the most privilege. I think that's the consensus.
You talking about Cloud's Buster
Sheath-
Sword? Absolute privilege.
Sheathe your sword privilege? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the only other thing I've been putting a lot of time into, which I've talked about in a couple of the other shows, was Lone Fungus, which is one of my favorite indies of the year so far. Just released on Steam. It is very much a Hollow Knight like. It's a one-man operation, but it is like Haiku the Robot last year. It is 100% cut from the same cloth as Hollow Knight. I'm putting it in the chat here in Twitch, but it's really
Actually,
good. And
send that in our chat.
oh yeah, sorry about that.
No, it's okay.
But yeah, I just
swearing.
love. I'm a big fan of. I'm a huge fan of Hollow Knight and that sort of that Metroidvania crossed with a Souls-like design. And I think it just works really well here. It's tonally a little cuter than Hollow Knight, a little less bleak than Hollow Knight, but the minute-to-minute gameplay is really good. The sort of the rush of excitement you get from getting a new power, a new ability, and remembering that you can go back to areas A, B, and C and use that to unlock more of the map. So yeah, big fan of it. So highly
This
recommend
looks
that.
great.
Yeah, only on PC at the moment, but I would hope that it gets ports to elsewhere sometime soon.
Like, how would you describe the feel of it versus Hollow Knight? Because like you can readily recognize like how it's copying, you know, a lot of the mechanics and like the design that Hollow Knight also uses. But I feel a certain way about seeing that style of game in like the kind of this sounds very disrespectful, but I don't mean
No,
it that
go for
way.
it.
But like the kind of cheaper looking like
Sure.
pixel art,
Yeah.
right? Like it
Yeah,
looks like
yeah.
because you said it was one guy, so like
Yeah.
clearly like there was some stuff had to be done in order to actually get the game out. I'm just wondering, like, does the feel of like movement and combat and whatnot kind of match up to how smooth Hollow Knight is? Because that's one of the main reasons that attracted me so much to Hollow Knight. Is that it feels
Sure.
like Mega Man X.
The movement feels really good. The combat doesn't feel quite as good. Maybe it's just also the enemies are a little boring compared to Hollow Knight, even the bosses. But you know, it has the thing where when you jump in air, you have the ability to either double jump or do a dash forward, and you could do that like once while you're in the air. But then if you downward slash an enemy, you regain that ability. So like you know, you gain the
Hollow
ability so
Knight.
you can like dash forward, downward slash an enemy, double jump. If you slash another enemy, you'll gain your dash back. And so there's a lot of interesting sort of puzzly platforming sections and yeah, and it feels like it draws from the same stuff as like the second Ori game as well. It has certain chambers that are just purely like puzzle platforming sections without enemies that kind of like even give off Celeste vibes to them. You know, Celeste had a similar thing where you could regain your double jump by hitting those whatever berries or whatever they were. Like, you know, you collect an item in the air to regain your double jump. And yeah, it just works. I don't know. I've been probably 6 or 7 hours into it, and it's continually surprising me. Again, doesn't hit with the same impact of like when you get to a new area, it isn't like, oh my god, in the same way that like Hollow Knight is. But yeah, I'm really enjoying it so far.
All right, nice.
Yeah. So that's in terms of gameplay. That's been my big stuff for the moment.
All right. Any like visual media you want to share?
Still, I haven't started Your Name yet, but I'm still making my way through all the movies of Makoto Shinkai, which I've really enjoyed. Casey, you said that's also kind of a blind spot for you, right?
Yeah, I've only
Why?
seen what was it called? The space one.
Oh, the five. Well, you said you saw 5 centimeters per
Yeah,
second.
5 centimeters per second. Yeah, I saw
Yeah.
that forever ago. Didn't realize that was the same
That
guy
was the same
as like
person. Yeah.
your name and whatnot. It was like yeah, it was
Yeah.
on my list to watch that series of movies from him that have been getting a lot of acclaim. But
Yeah.
I really
Yeah,
did
and
like
I
the
haven't.
5 centimeters. Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Honey Money, you're a big fan, right?
Yeah. Been since he like I don't know. Yeah, since that time when was Beyond the Clouds first, was it? Yeah, I think that was like super old.
Yeah, because he has like a couple like shorts and like really like rough
Yeah.
animation. Like one thing that he just animated totally himself. And
Yeah.
then obviously like Your Name was the, sort of the big thing that put him on the map. But
Yeah.
I wasn't really into anime. Like I fell out of anime when Your Name was really popular, and I didn't come back into it until like the pandemic. So I'm catching up on a lot of stuff.
Because now Suzume is in theaters, right?
It is, yeah. It just came.
Yeah.
That's sort of the thing that sparked this rewatch is, or watch, I guess, is the latest movie Suzume is in theaters. Like and it's making like a decent amount of money for a limited release.
so that's in
anime movie
American
in theater.
theaters.
Yeah, it's in
And
like my
English.
local
Yeah.
theater here in
Oh,
Madison.
wow.
Yeah, it's like subbed and dubbed. You can choose which one to go to. So
Yeah. It's
I like
coming to
that.
as well.
Crunchyroll later, I guess.
Yeah, I like that like anime movies are more and more sort of widespread in
Normal
theaters.
movies.
Yeah. No, it's cool. And like that's the same I saw the Demon Slayer movie thing a couple months ago and that was in theaters, so put more anime in theaters.
Yeah,
Hear
I
that,
guess.
Congress?
I guess
Joe Biden, put more anime in theaters.
they did just put video game music in the Library of Congress. So
That's true.
Hell yeah.
Thanks, Joe Biden.
yeah, you owe that to Biden. Trump would never.
Trump would absolutely never.
He doesn't know what video games are.
He does not.
Nope.
Oh, I don't like to think of the two. I like video games too much to think about them in the same.
Have you
That's true.
Have you not seen all these new videos of them AI dubbing the voices of like
Yeah.
the presidents and past presidents
Yeah.
playing?
Yeah, this-
Like
Yeah.
I
Very
hate
dumb.
those so much.
Yeah.
Why?
Like it really grates on me to hear that evil man talk about like something that I know
love-
intimately.
yeah.
Oh, okay. I don't
Yeah.
know.
It's like you don't belong in this space.
To be able to talk
Like
about the
I will
Smash
absolutely gatekeep you from any of this.
But that's the thing. It's not real, though.
No, I get
He
it.
would never. He would never. So it's fine. That's how I feel. I'm just like, yeah, this would never happen. That's why it's funny as well.
No, Trump loves Smash. Heard it here first.
I can't-
Loves Dead
I
by
can't deal.
Daylight apparently too.
TBD.
But yeah, does that do it for you, Marty?
Yeah, pretty much.
All right.
Yeah,
Anybody else want to jump in? Jermaine, you got that look on your face.
It's the
Yeah,
look
go.
of who's going. Okay. What have I been playing? I was playing a lot of World of Warcraft, but I kind of reached my peak in that.
Like you
I got
beat the
to the
game,
top-
beat all the PvP.
Well,
Done all the raids.
Well,
All
I've
the
done
items.
everything, and I got to top 10% DPS in the world, and then
That's good.
to get above that, you kind of have to no life the game, and I have 3
Yeah.
jobs, so I can't do that.
Like, how did you
Um,
even get to that level with you 3 jobbing?
I don't know. I don't know. I guess a lot of it was I knew a lot of people who do no life the game, so when I play with them, their standards of what I should be playing at is like
Uh-huh.
a lot higher
Okay.
than what I would have been if I was just playing casually. Like I've never reached that kind of point before. But it did get to the point where I'd gotten everything because they have seasons. I'd gotten everything in the season. The new season's coming out in like a month and a bit. And I was just like, I'm not going to no life this. I'm going to go play other things. And that has been replaced with VR mini golf. I've got obsessed with a game called Walkabout Mini Golf.
Huh.
Well, I've heard that's really good.
It's
Yeah.
fantastic. And what kind of sparked that is before I joined The Escapist, I used to write my scripts, and I still do, with a friend of mine called Sai. And in our meetings, when we would talk about my scripts, we would play VR mini golf together and talk over the scripts together.
Huh.
And I stopped doing that recently, started playing again, mainly because they've introduced a labyrinth map, like based on the movie. And anyone who knows me, I'm obsessed with Labyrinth.
Yeah.
Like I have an entire section of my display dedicated to Labyrinth. There.
I thought you were gonna say I have a whole labyrinth in the other room.
Yeah, it's just there.
You walk out the door and it's a hedge maze.
And I went back and they've added like 10 new courses. They have like treasure hunts that award you new putters if you do them. Hidden balls everywhere. Like it's a fantastic game. And I think it was like last weekend I played. I'm not joking. All weekend, I thought my neck was gonna snap off because you're constantly like this. Yeah, and so I've got obsessed with that. I'd highly recommend it to anyone who has VR. It's
I
kind of
need some more VR stuff to mess around.
What headset? What headset are
it's
you
a
playing on?
Rift S.
Okay.
So but my housemate who's been playing some with me has a Quest and is constantly having to recharge it and stuff, and I'm like, ha, 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 I may be tethered, but I'm not limited by time. So I've been playing a lot of that, some Beat Saber, and discovering the X-Files. I think
Wait, what?
I'm in love with the X-Files.
No, it is a top 10 like series. Honestly,
Yeah, but did you not watch it when you were younger?
I've
Oh my
never
God.
seen a single episode. I knew the music. Everyone knew the music.
Yeah.
I knew Mulder and Scully. And then it was on Disney Plus. It was like bingeable series. And I was just like laying in bed, like, what do I do? So I was like, I'll watch the first episode. Even the first episode, I was like, this is fantastic. I finished season 2 last night. Oh my God. I've downloaded
it's
the
freaking
entire
great.
season 3 for the flight.
It is great.
So I can just watch all of season 3 on my travels. Like, it's fantastic. And no one has ever told me about it. Like, everyone I've spoken to.
I mean, it's probably because I think there's a generational
Everyone's
thing.
seen it.
Yeah.
And
Everyone's
a
already
generational
seen it.
thing.
Everyone who loves it, but it's like, it hasn't been relevant for a long time. I do think
I mean, they made new.
Yeah, like they kind of
versions
went
of
off
it.
after movies, but like, I don't think those movies like kind of set the world
Yeah,
on
like
fire
the
either.
movies. Yeah, that
Wasn't there a show?
Yeah, because there was like Kumail Nanjiani. There was like a new season they made a couple
Yeah.
years ago. But
Right.
it just
I haven't
wasn't like
seen it.
sort of didn't capture the same magic as the original.
No.
But yeah, if you go
No.
back, the original was like crazy ahead of its time.
Yeah, like I thought, it's going to be crazy episodic. They're going to do a new thing every time. There's going to be no through line. It's just going to be, And then, even in season 1, some of the later episodes in the season were new stories on the same problems from earlier in the season, on the same like creatures and stuff. And I was like, oh, and now the plot's really started to ramp up. And the character development's insane. Like, it's just really odd that everyone I've spoken to just goes, yeah, it's fantastic. Like, everyone is
like, why don't we talk about this more?
Why isn't everyone
I
constantly
wanna see
talking
this
about the
more.
X-Files? That's that's a good question. Why isn't everyone constantly talking about?
And
like,
the camera work, like, oh my god,
like it was the thing I didn't realize was it apparently was Vince Gillian's first like series, like the guy who wrote
writing.
Breaking Bad and
Oh.
Better
he was a
Call
fan.
Saul.
Yeah.
It's how he met Bryan Cranston as well, because he was the star of the episode he wrote, and he had him in mind when he was writing Breaking Bad. Yeah, I haven't got to that episode yet, but it's quite a famous story.
The show does a really good job of sort of like kneading in Monster of the Week episodes that are like really one-off and exciting, and then continually drip feeding you sort of plot beats to move the sort of meta story forward of what's going on with the shit like the cigarette smoking man and what happened to Mulder's sister and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, well, and just like one of the most infuriating things is, and it is probably one of my only criticisms, and I'm quite critical of shit like this, is that Scully, no matter what she sees, is always incredibly skeptical. Like,
you've seen
it's a
so
really-
many monsters. Why do you not believe in this
She's
monster?
seen so many monsters, and like spoilers, it's a really old show, and it's a season 1 spoiler. She gets fucking abducted, like, and disappears for weeks. And she comes back and like she wakes up. And she's like, "Aliens aren't real. Fuck you." And it's like, come on.
Well, to that effect, you're right, but I do think that show regularly did a really good job of grounding its like really crazy sci-fi things. Like I remember one episode in particular was like there was just a straight shapeshifter.
Yeah.
And it's like that's not real. But by the end of the episode, it was like, oh, this is a medical condition. Like we've known about this sort of thing, and this guy just has it at this level. And like so they kind of explain it in a way where it's like, oh, this is actually grounded. So like her skepticism makes sense because she's a doctor, like she's a scientist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like she's
Oh,
like,
yeah,
well,
it
I'm gonna
makes
base
sense.
all of this in what I know, what I've studied my whole life, and like there is a
Yeah.
little bit of justification for that because they do kind of bring it back down to earth by the end of each episode.
100%. Yeah, I completely agree. But yeah, that's me. Lots of VR, mini golf, lots of X Files. Yeah, I've just been working on my other stuff. It's been a good time.
Nice.
Have you played Dredge yet?
Me?
Yes, I
Jermaine.
have.
Oh,
It's
Okay.
my next video, Marty.
Ooh.
I absolutely adore Dredge. Probably my favorite game of this year.
It's really
Um,
good.
I think it's fantastic. I have an entire episode specifically on Dredges and Resi 4's inventory systems
Yes.
and
Oh.
how
Dredgy
a
4.
single like a Resi 4 and Dredge or just Resident Evil in general, and how a single game mechanic can completely alter not just how you play, but also how we design the game. But yeah, if anyone hasn't played Dredge or heard Marty screaming on the rooftops of how good it is, that game's fantastic.
Yeah, I gotta get on that.
Go for it.
Does
Yeah,
that
it's
better
really
fishing
good.
than Guild Wars 2?
Honestly,
You don't have
No.
you don't have to answer. I don't want you to get in
yeah, I
trouble.
might get a Guild War 2 devs in my DMs.
Yeah. How dare you?
Um,
How could you?
it was-
Betrayal.
It's really good
I
fishing.
know. I do love fishing, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, fantastic.
Nice. Honey Money, anything you want to share? Anything you've been playing?
Yeah.
Watching?
Ignore the sun. It's this. It's the
Yes.
price I pay. It's the price I pay for not knowing how to put up curtains and also living on a mountain.
I thought you were doing it
So-
on purpose as like a cinematic
No.
choice. Like, oh, the duality of
Yeah,
man.
it's like a cyberpunk.
No. I'm just always like, fuck you. Like,
That's just the
it's all
reflection
same
of my
time of
forehead
day.
because I'm so pale.
I still
so
sound
bright,
paler
you're so
than you,
bright.
but whatever. No, but I finished Resident Evil 4 the remake recently. I liked it, but I also didn't like it because I liked the old one. Like, it's a good game. If you've never played Resident Evil 4 before and you play this, it's like, oh, this is a good game. But when you compare it, it's like, oh, but this isn't that fun. It's not the campiness. They're just like, this is serious. We serious business. And I'm like, oh,
So they did kind of take a lot of the camp out of it, which
Yeah,
was a thing
they really did.
folks were saying they were worried
Yeah.
about.
They
that's
did. They
unfortunate.
made, and they made like Sadler. I don't care. Sadler's just a generic cult leader now, which sounds weird to say, but he is compared
I
to
don't
like
think you
the
can lead a
original.
cult as a generic person. You got to have something
I
going
That's the
for
mean-
you.
problem. You gotta have charisma.
I bet he does. He does. I don't know. Compared to the original, no. And Salazar looks like Margaret Thatcher, and it's like, no.
Lady.
Ashley, like she's fine as Ashley as the character, but she's in your fucking way all the motherfucking time. Also, sorry for swearing. If
No, no,
that's,
it's-
I hope that's okay.
Wait,
No,
new
because I
Ashley?
just
Tell 'em
like
how you feel, honey.
You think-
yeah, new
you think
Ashley.
new
She's
Ashley?
just in. Yeah, she's more annoying than old Ashley to me. Like
Impossible.
gameplay, she's just like in the way. I shot her in the head once. I'm like, oh,
Rip.
well, that's the thing. And it's
That's a
like
war
she's
crime.
just like she like ducks down right in front of you all the time because she's like ducks down, and you're like you're in the way. I'm trying to like save you and help you, just in the way constantly. She annoyed the shit out of me. So no, but it's a good game. It's still a good game. It's just like I'm missing so many things. It feels like I said when I was playing, it's like, yeah, this is a good game, but they kind of took the fun out of it. Like the what I found fun. Like it just feels kind of flat and generic if you think about it, comparing the games. But if you've never played the original and have a fondness for it, like it's a good game still. Like it works. So yeah.
My favorite
played-
tweak with new Ashley is when she's behind you. If you headshot a guy, she'll pump her fist. She'll go like, "Yes." Like it's just like really small animation and just really quiet noise. But like every once in a while, she'll sort of give you like a "Well done, Leon." And I'm like, "Oh, thanks,
Is that
Ashley."
not problematic? She's like cheering on people getting shot in the head.
There are
No,
quite
but
a
they're
few things
ganados. and
Yeah,
cultists.
they're not. They got things coming out of their throats.
Yeah,
and
as soon as you
that.
start having things coming out of you, that's
Yeah, it's
that
like, it's
that
fine.
sounds like prejudice to me.
Dude, if that's the only thing you're concerned about in Resi 4, then we've got something to talk about. There's a lot of concern.
Also, is so I say Resi 4. Well, I say Resi as the series, and I say it because of British friends who've said it. Is that a British
Oh,
thing?
really?
Like Casey, have you
Maybe-
ever heard anyone shorten Resident Evil to Resi?
Yeah.
Okay. maybe it's
Yeah,
not-
maybe we like to abbreviate things.
I love abbreviating.
Like Spag Bowl.
Spag Bowl or Scooter Marbles, as I call it.
This is another language. I don't.
What?
Yeah. The
I don't know
spaghetti and
Spag
meatballs.
Bowl,
I call it
Scooter
Spaghetti
marbles?
and meatballs.
Scooter Marbles. It's just
Spaghetti
a joke. I don't know where it
bolognese
came
Spag
from.
Bowl.
Yeah, but we call it Resi. Like Resi 5. I don't think I've ever said to anyone British Resident Evil. We always say Resi. It's not like our box art has Resi on it.
Sure.
We just always say Resi. It's Resi 5, Resi 6.
Huh.
Yeah, that's odd. Now you got me thinking about whether we abbreviate more stuff. That's all
Yeah,
right.
'cause I always called it Resident Evil growing up, and then it wasn't until I was hanging out or working with some British dudes, and they called it Resi, and I was like, I like that better.
Yeah, it just sounds nice. Resi 6.
Sounds great.
Yeah.
Resi
Resi,
7.
yeah.
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 Yeah. Does that do it for you, Honeymoney? Or there's some stuff you've been.
I'll
watching or-
go through because I get so much more free time than you guys do. Listen, it's just true. But I play a lot. I fell in love with Darkest Dungeon. I can't like it's so. You can just keep because it's the thing of you can play it and have something else on the second monitor, and I can just grind through and do it over and over again. And it's I don't know why I like it. It feels very unlikely that I would like it. I played it for a Masochist Monday where I try games that I think I wouldn't like, but I give them a chance. And I was like, this is great. I can obsess over this all day. So yeah, I've been playing hours and hours of that because Dead by Daylight's kind of out.
Thank
little bit.
you.
They're making weird. Like they're destroying the game for me. I know everyone fucking hates Dead by Daylight. Calm down.
What? No, everyone loves it. Jesse's still trying to get me to play that damn game.
Yeah, but
I
Jesse
know.
still loves it more than I do, definitely now. But
What's the
they're
deal?
like,
Why are they coming for all the games you like Rogue Company?
Yeah, Rogue
Dead
Company
by
got
Daylight?
screwed up. Dead by
Don't.
Daylight now.
Hey, Honeymoney,
I
never
don't
play. Don't play
know.
Zelda.
I don't,
Zelda.
I don't,
I don't
I
want
don't
them
know
to-
anything Nintendo.
Great,
So
please
that's
don't touch it.
Not gonna happen.
Thank you for the recommendation, Honey Money. I will take this on my flight. I was looking for a game. I'll take Darkest Dungeon.
Yeah, you can just like you can obsess over it.
Why
It's
is
so great.
the cover art for that just black?
Just black.
Darkest
It
Dungeon?
is so it's a collector's edition,
Okay.
and I've never played it. So
Dang.
Ooh,
there we go.
seems like a good. Yeah, seems like a good Switch game. Also Yellow Jackets. That show is. It's very interesting and very like what the fuck's happening, but it's that all the time. And I'm also like I'm worried about how are they gonna end that show? When are they gonna end that show? Because they keep building things constantly, and I'm just like, because the season 1 started very very strong and like very like out there. So I'm worried for the future of that show. I still really, really enjoy it. Watch it as soon as it comes out. But I'm sitting there going like, okay, this is a lot of things happening. Like, that person's dead. It's like, what? How is this gonna end?
I'm hoping they announce an end point. Like I'm hoping
Yeah.
they say season 3 will be the last season or something like that. or season
Yeah.
4. I feel like I get almost more invested in shows knowing, oh, okay, they do have an ending to the story in mind, and it's coming sooner rather than later.
Yeah, and I feel like that show, like, it has 7 seasons. Like, why?
Yeah.
It would be bad. It would be, but like this last 3 seasons would be just terrible, probably. So I don't want that. But who knows?
So what
It
season
makes
is it
money,
on
I guess.
now? The second or
Just
third one?
second.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's not that far in, and they're
No.
only 10 episode seasons or whatever. But I kind of agree with Honey that like this could spiral out of control in the way that X-Files or Lost did.
Yeah, X-Files did
I'd
start
rather.
to go down a certain road. Like,
Yeah,
lost
well,
David
especially when
Duchovny
like the
for a
2
while.
leads are like, we
Yeah.
don't want to be on the show anymore. Spoilers, Jimmy. The 2 leads don't want to be on the show anymore.
Well,
I mean, you have a lot
can
to
follow
watch
them to
still.
their new shows like
Tori, you have, like,
Californication and
Yeah,
Sex
that's true.
Education.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, the
Oh,
crowd.
wow, I can't wait.
The Crown. No, she was really great as Margaret Thatcher.
the Crown is
Yeah.
good though. I've heard.
The Crown is
It's
good.
just
Yeah, she
very
played
long.
Thatcher. Everyone's favorite Resident Evil 4.
Oh,
movie.
did she?
Which is crazy because in Sex Education, which is a Netflix series, she plays like a MILF. I didn't realize how hot Gillian Anderson was.
Yeah,
like
right?
as an old lady.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, like the first time I ever saw her, I've seen her in a few things, but mainly was like the therapist from Hannibal.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
And I can't unsee
Hannibal
young
rules.
Hannibal's fair. Like Hannibal's such a great show.
Yeah.
Like,
Hannibal's
but
great. Love Hannibal.
Yeah. Rabbit
Mads-
holes.
Oh,
Mads Mikkelsen. Oh my god. Death
Mads is good
Stranding.
in everything.
Oh my god, we're
Yeah,
talking about
he's
There
the
we
best
go.
part. He is best. He's the best part in Death Stranding.
I've not played it yet.
Yeah, me
I
either.
said
It is,
twice.
I do own it now, so one day I'll probably try to give it a chance.
Yeah. I put
earlier
down
this
Death
week I
Stranding
sent-
after 30 minutes, I think.
That is so good.
No.
Earlier this week, I sent Casey a picture that Kojima posted of him holding a banana menacingly.
Like he was, but no, he was holding the banana like with kind of like this weird grin on his face. But he also had like a full pizza and like other food on the table with him. Like you're not gonna eat the banana and the pizza, are you?
Kojima goes wild. I don't know what that
I mean,
guy's doing that
we
much.
have pizza with bananas on here, though.
Really?
Yeah, it's pizza. What is it? Ham, banana slices, and curry powder.
This is what happens. You give.
It is called. Okay, this is a bit racist. It's called Africana.
It's
Yeah,
called
Why is it
curry
called
powder.
Africana?
It's a drink on- I don't know, because bananas, I think.
And
You
banana
know,
and curry?
racism.
That's not
like
how-
it's a yeah. It's very old. It's a very old like pizza here. It's been
Huh.
around for forever. But
Does
yeah,
it taste
that's-
good though? Like it's like, ooh,
I
like
haven't
this.
tried it.
Oh, you
I
haven't tried it?
I
Okay.
don't,
Then
no,
that does
because I don't
not
want. I
sound
don't
like
like
that works.
No, but
Sounds
I don't like
grim.
mushy bananas. I don't like mushy, and also like just sprinkling curry powder. That seems like a bit much. Like it's just they just pour curry powder on top of it.
I'm allergic.
They don't
to
like
bananas.
mix it in or anything. It's just like on top.
You're
And I'm like,
allergic to
ugh.
bananas?
Yeah. Like mildly. Like if I eat banana, not flavored banana stuff, but like an actual banana,
Yeah.
the inside of my mouth and my throat feel like hairy. Like they've got thousands and thousands of little hairs on them. And it only happens when I eat banana, and it's horrible.
Yeah, it sounds right.
That sounds great. I feel like I would.
It lasts for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours. And I haven't eaten one since I was like a teenager.
Yeah, that's bad.
But I
Don't do
love
that.
the flavor. It sucks.
No, bananas
Yeah, it
is a
is
good
an
flavor.
Yeah.
Uh,
Banana flavored stuff doesn't taste like banana. It's its own thing.
no,
And it sucks.
because I have that with kiwis. I'm allergic to kiwis. It's like if I have some, like my throat starts itching on the inside.
Yeah, it's
So you're like,
horrible.
ah.
We should have an
So,
episode
yeah.
where we all face our fears and eat the things we're allergic to.
I have
I mean,
started
I'm
trying to
I'm
eat
not
shrimp again.
fearful.
I'll bring a
should
dog
start-
into the room and have
Oh
an
yeah.
asthma attack.
Are you gonna
We
eat a
should-
dog, Marty?
No, I'm just gonna have the dog here. I'm gonna ingest its dander.
Ingest
should-
its dander.
Just
Oh
its
my
dander.
god, Marty.
Just take a bite out of his fur.
Forbidden fruit. That's the show title.
Oh man.
That's not bad.
Yeah.
That's not bad. Forbidden Fruit, a show where you got it's like Hot Ones, but you got to eat shit you're allergic to and not die before you answer all of Sean Evans's burning questions.
Like the
I love
burning
it.
is happening inside
Burning.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you can't breathe. You can't breathe. Okay, how long can you go? How long can you go?
Would you
you
like
have to
some?
pen
Would you
here.
like
How
some milk?
long?
No, I'm
How
also
long?
allergic to milk.
I'm also lactose intolerant. Yeah, this is
100,000 per minute.
Yeah.
not bad.
God.
Also, yeah, just the Tetris movie. Tetris. The
Tetris, yeah.
Tetris. How do you say it in
Tetris?
English?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Tetris.
because we say Tetris, or I do.
That sounds better.
cooler.
Yeah.
You know,
That sounds cooler. Yeah.
Because I'm like Tetris. That sounds weird to me, but yeah. So that was a good movie. I was surprised. I thought it would
Yeah,
be
I
more
kind of really want to
boring.
see it. Like, I love Taron Egerton
Yeah.
for some reason. I don't know why. I really like him as an actor. So the
'Cause
fact
he's
that he's
eggsy.
attached to a video game adjacent thing, I need to see it.
It is very good. It's a bit long though. It's like 2 hours and something. Oh, is it? Well, no, 1 hour 57 minutes.
Still,
But
could have been a tight 90. Enter the tight 90
Yeah.
club.
no, but like they threw in so many things because I watched it with a bunch of people and there were the person showing it had like knew all the story about it, so he's like, oh, this is added, and I was like, so there was just like weird shit happening that was like, this is not reality. And I'm like, did this really happen? It's like people storming in, like fighting, and I'm like, this does
Yeah,
not
apparently
seem
they
like
took a
this
lot of
happened.
liberties with that story.
That's what
They
puts
actually
me
have a
off
car
about
chase with the
these-
KGB.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
there's a car chase.
That's what puts me off about the biopics, like, you know, the Bohemian Rhapsody and the stuff with, like, Elton John's Rocket Man and stuff like that. One, they all look the same. Like, they all look like they were done by the same
Yeah.
team visually. And, like, they're super flat or, like, super over the top. And it's not like, a lot of it isn't true. And some films get away with it, and they're like, you can tell, like, they're going for, like, hyper realism, and they're going really over the top and stuff like that. Like the Weird Al Yankovic movie, like,
Yeah.
Yeah, which is fitting
Very,
because
very
that's
clearly
kind
a
of
joke.
his whole deal.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But like, I want to say we got into a bit of a conversation about this while we were all in Milwaukee about how the biopic is kind of moving from like actual people and like groups of people to like brands. Like
products,
Tetris
yeah.
is a product,
Yeah.
and like there's the Air
Air.
Jordan movie that
Oh, yeah,
talks
yeah.
about the making of the shoe,
Yeah,
and it's like
yeah.
when
And
you
then there's coming up like there's a
McDonald's.
BlackBerry one, a Flaming Hot Cheetos one, a Pop Tarts one.
Flaming
They're all
Hot
biopics.
Cheetos is gonna get a
Biopics of the
biopic.
products. Yeah, how the products were created.
And that's crazy because with
Pop
that
Tart one
like, you can
is written
definitely
and directed by Jerry Seinfeld, by the way. Fun
Which
fact.
one?
What?
Sorry, what?
The Pop Tart biopic is a Jerry Seinfeld movie.
Is Jerry Seinfeld struggling to find work, which is surprising? Like,
don't think so.
The Pop
I
Tart
think he's.
movie,
I mean, I
He's
think he's
probably
just
super
infinitely rich.
I think
Yeah.
he's bored
Yeah.
like that.
he
Like
can do whatever he wants.
Yeah.
yeah, like he can do whatever he wants. So why not write
That's
a
true.
Pop Tart movie? Like this movie
Yeah.
is gonna be a joke. It might be good because Jerry Seinfeld is not taking it seriously. I can't
Yeah.
imagine he would actually care about writing a Pop Tart bio movie.
He really likes Pop Tarts. Think about it.
Maybe. I don't know. I get put off by a lot of them. But maybe the Tetris one will win me over.
Yeah, I like biopics that do something weird. There was
Yeah.
that Bob Dylan biopic like in like the mid 2000s where a different actor portrayed him at different periods of his career.
Oh, yeah.
But like the different actors, like it was like Heath Ledger as one, Richard Gere as one, Kate Blanchett
Yeah,
as one,
Kate Blanchett as
yeah,
one.
Christian
Ooh.
Bale, like this like 9-year-old black kid played him at one point, and it was almost like these different phases of his like musical career embodied by
That's
these
so
different
cool.
characters. And like I thought that was a cool way to do it. Like they weren't striving for realism, but it
Right.
sort of told the
It was like
vibes of the
representative
story.
of something else. Yeah, that's kind of dope.
I like that.
Yeah.
All right. Does that do it for you, Honey Money?
Yeah.
Okay, I haven't been playing much. I did just finish up a review for Mega Man Battle Network Legacy Collection, both volumes. So that's 6 different Mega Man games, 10 if you count like their dual versions. Because like it was started doing a Pokemon thing after 3, where they released 2 versions with like slightly different stuff you can collect in them. And you guys know me, I'm a big Mega Man fan, but very specific Mega Man, like SNES era to like Game Boy Advance era platform shooters. That's Mega Man I love. But Battle Network is not that at all. Battle Network is a JRPG that looks like a tactics game, but is like sort of this weird. I don't think there's nothing else really like it. Mega Man Battle Network's like fight system. It's like you're on a grid, your side and enemy side, and then you're using their equivalent of Pokemon are battle chips, which are just attacks. So like you collect different attacks, and then they show up randomly in your inventory. So it's like a card battler in that you have a deck, and like you'll draw 5 cards from the deck, and then you can either pick some of those cards, and some of those cards can combo with each other, or you can go like a round without using any cards so that you can pull additional cards to like make more combos. Like there is strategy in all the menu stuff, but the actual gameplay is you're on this grid, you basically move around with the D-pad, and you shoot at the enemies who are also kind of just dipping around on the other side. And then like you can use a special ability that will do more damage to a specific distance from you or to specific parts of the opposite grid. And like all of that on paper is like, oh, this is actually really neat. Like there's a lot you can do with this. There's a lot of strategy, but it's just not fun. Like imagine, like to me, it's like the game is like those old Tiger Electronics where like everything is already exists on an LCD screen in the background. And so like there's only a finite number of things you can actually do. And like that's just how it feels to play. And like so I couldn't get pulled further into like the tactic stuff. And I did watch some high level PvP in that game, And apparently it's just totally busted because people just grind for like whatever the strongest battle chip is and then just unleash that whenever they think they're going to lose on the enemy. So like it's just, I can't imagine how anyone could have fun
Period.
toiling away in that sort of a battle system. But I mean, folks are addicted. Like it was super popular. A lot of people were like hyped for it coming out. But on top of all my gripes with its actual gameplay, the collection itself is a little bare bones. Like they've done these legacy collections for like the previous versions of Mega Man before, and like they've at the very least added some cool stuff. Like the X collection, for example, throws like new boss rush challenges at you, where they take two themed bosses that kind of match each other, like Chill Penguin and like this big ice mammoth guy from like X3 or 2 or something, and they'll put them in the same arena. So you got to fight two bosses that you would know from playing through the regular games together at the same time. And like you can like beat them and like score like a fast time and put that on leaderboards or whatever. So like it's a nice end game if you've played through all the games and you know you want something new to do in that world. And the ZX collection does like literal like speed running races where like you and a friend will play the same level and like race each other to like get to the end of it, and then that has leaderboards and stuff too. So like lots of replayability in trying to refine your high score and engaging with the mechanics of a game that you like a lot. There's nothing like that in Mega Man, probably because they made all that old Lake stuff online. So like if you're just going online to like battle people, maybe that's your end game. But like I don't find that fun.
It sounds like the game was weirdly ahead of its time. Like a lot of that stuff sounds like kind of crazy. Like even if it doesn't come together, like crazy ambitious for a Game Boy Advance game from like the early aughts.
No, you're right. Like it was crazy that they. Well, I guess it wasn't crazy. Like they had this idea for this new kind of JRPG system, and then they slapped Mega Man on it to make it sell.
Yeah.
Right. And it worked because like it got several freaking sequels. But the thing is, each of those sequels are very much the same as the last game. Like they don't change much at all. And like the core loop is really tedious because it's just you're talking to people, they say, hey, go to this place or find this person and find this thing and bring it back to me. So you're just kind of walking through story beats. But then every time you have a task, you have to go to cyberspace because like there's a real world and then there's a cyber world where you play as Mega Man. In the cyberspace, anytime you have to get anywhere, random battles up the wazoo. And it's not even like Pokemon where it's like, okay, here's the grass path. If you stay out of that, you can avoid. It's just the whole time you're in cyberspace, you can get randomly battled. And it happens all the time. And the only tool they have given you to mitigate that sort of thing is just increasing your base Mega Buster cannon by like 100 times. So you can kill most enemies in like one hit, but it doesn't change the fact that you just got out of a fight, you walk 2 steps, you're in another fight.
You're being interrupted. Sounds like the worst of all worlds.
Oh god, like I was not having any fun whatsoever. No. And I didn't play each of them to completion because that would be insane, but I did dip into every one of them and play like a little bit of each of their stories. So like the stories for the most part aren't that interesting either. Like the last game's story was probably the most interesting, and it was because the main character like moved away. So like for 5 games he was like had a group of friends, and then in the beginning of the 6th game he's like, oh my dad got a new job, I gotta leave all my friends. And it was legitimately sad. I was like, oh, that's really interesting. He has to go to like a new school and like meet new people, whatever. But then I forgot to save, and so I lost literally all my progress.
No.
Yeah, because there's no, you have to manually save in that game. Otherwise, if you die, you just go back to wherever. So that was terrible. So I would suggest you don't buy it. But like I know that there are hardcore people who don't care. Like they just want Mega Man Battle Network back in their library, and they're gonna get it, and they're gonna have the time of their lives. So enjoy. I think it's a bad collection.
How much is it? Is it worth the money? Like for still not, it's not, you didn't like it, but is it worth the money?
All 6 games are spread across 2 different collections. So you can buy the first 3 and then the last 3 for $40 each. Because volume 1 is 1, 2, and 3, and then volume 2 is 4, 5, and 6. But 4, 5, and 6 has the dual versions, or whatever. But they're the same game. But if you want all of them, it's a $60 purchase.
Okay, there we go. I was going to say do all.
Because I was like 80.
No, they do give you a discount.
Okay.
But I don't think it's worth it. Like
No.
all of them should have been 40, and then like you could get them separately 20. I think that would have been fair for the folks who really, really wanted more Battle Network, because they're Game Boy Advance games. Not to discredit the Game Boy Advance, but like they aren't different games. Like other than like the story and like they put in new maps and like maybe new enemies show up over time, but you do literally the same thing the whole way through. Oh yeah, Kiba, we are talking about Battle Network. Because I know Kiba's probably one of those who's like way into the Battle Network stuff. Sorry, I think that game sucks. I apologize.
Oh no, Kiba.
But
We should be apologizing to Capcom. Make a better game.
Yeah, tell Capcom to make a better game. Make more Mega Man games. I want a Mega Man Metroidvania, like a proper Metroidvania.
That has to be where this is all leading, right? You can't
would
just like
think.
they've slowly been releasing collections of every Mega Man game.
But it's been like they started doing that like 10 years ago. It's crazy that they haven't just been like, here's the next Mega Man now.
I trust Capcom's been doing like probably of any third-party publisher. Capcom's been like near the top of like killing it lately. Like they've been great. Devil May Cry, Resi, Monster Hunter,
But not with Mega Man. Like they treat Mega Man like he's so niche, but like I think he's still one of like the most recognizable video game mascots today, even though he's not like super.
Do kids care about Mega Man? That's the thing. Like they got to get the kids to care. Put him in Fortnite. Put that man in Fortnite.
You know what? Do it. Put Mega Man in Fortnite.
Mega Man would work in Fortnite.
Yeah, he has a gun. Well, no, actually, because then he'd be holding like an AK as opposed to shooting out of his hand.
No, he comes in, right, and he has no arm. He has to go find his arm. Every gun is
He just sticks the gun out his
He
arm.
just becomes an AK. Like he takes the AK's properties.
Yeah.
That's pretty funny.
Comes AK man.
So yeah, that's all I've been playing really. I gotta mention, I watched Matilda the Musical on Netflix and I loved it. I talked about it at length on Breakout, so I don't want to like redo all of that, but do yourself a favor. If you're a fan of musicals whatsoever, watch Matilda the Musical. It is great.
I really want to see it.
But I did.
It was a thing.
Like over that weekend after I came back from the trip, I binged the latest season of My Hero Academia. So I finished it over the weekend. That show, like the villain arc, really put a sour taste in my mouth. Like I was like, oh, these like all of the character development and story beats and like action that like drew me in for like the 1A students and like their teachers and whatnot just was not working at all for any of the villain characters, and I couldn't really understand why. Like they just dropped, because like the villains were interesting in and of themselves. Like they had like cool motivations, interesting backstories, and cool powers for the most part, especially the way they used them. But the way they told that story just, like, I don't know, maybe it felt rushed or something, but like it just didn't come together. And so I was really down on My Hero. But jumping back into, I think season 6 is the most recent season, or 5. It might be 5. It shifts focus back to the heroes, but it's the heroes bumping up directly against the group who you just kind of saw their history or whatnot in the previous arc. And now it came together. Like that downbeat for like why they did need to focus on these villains to make you kind of care the slightest bit about like what they're trying to do, or at the very least understand it. Like even if you're 100% don't agree or care about, or you know, like you don't want to see a happy ending for those villains, you still get some of their motivation because they did spend that much time with them, even if it felt a little rushed. So like it really did help the intensity of this latest season, because this season was like mostly just action. It was like most of it was just a full-on assault on like the enemy stronghold, and like this kind of push and pull between like the heroes doing as much as they can, and then the bad guys countering, and then the heroes trying to rally back. Like it was like super tense, and like a lot of stuff happens, and like there's a bunch of cool ass like really over the top like sequences and displays of like power, and like smarts, like the way Class 1A works together under specific circumstances is like, it really moves you. Like that's the main thing I've always loved about My Hero Academia, is like they get like a rise out of you emotionally, because it's like you're seeing people work together and strive for something in like a tangible way. And like, oh, I remember seeing this character want to get better at this thing, and there's an opportunity where they tried, and you see, you know, that work pay off. And some of them don't always rise to the occasion. Like there's an instance where someone kind of fucks up in the middle, but then like their classmate like is there to try to help them after the fact. So like all that dynamism like really just had me hooked. So like I definitely finished that season in record time. I'm really excited to see what happens next. But I will say, like, the stakes rose so high. I'm a little sad that very clearly this show is going to need to end soon. Like they were in the middle of school and like they were learning how to be superheroes, and the situation changed so drastically that it's like, oh, y'all kind of got to be superheroes now. And so like I don't see how, if this situation gets resolved, they kind of go back to, all right, well, let's get you ready to be superheroes. Like, no, at the end of this, you guys, there should just be a graduation and like go on with the rest of your lives.
Is the manga hasn't ended, has it?
I don't think it's ended yet, no. But I do feel like I've heard that there isn't like a ton more story left.
Yeah.
I heard
Oh,
My Hero Academia is a prequel to the British sitcom from the noughties called My Hero.
Let's wrap the show up there. We're done. That's such a niche reference.
It's a very niche reference.
I've never heard of that.
Unbelievable.
Lampy liked it.
Oh,
Okay,
no.
Lampy liked it. One person liked it. That's fine.
Like
You get
that
it then.
went several miles
Yeah,
in my
same.
head.
Good one, mate. Yeah. I think only British people get that. It's a very niche show called My Hero about a dude who's a superhero. And it's like a sitcom. Like it only has like one set, and it's like it's super low budget. I enjoyed it as a kid, and I'm like, because my brain went, oh well, they could just not be at school. They could just be heroes, and they could just call it My Hero. And I was like, well, that's already a thing. So it's a
Right,
prequel.
Yeah, they already did that shit.
Yeah.
You can't encroach on the My Hero brand. But yeah, so
I haven't watched the most recent. I need to watch the most recent season, but I've loved the first 4 or 5 seasons of My Hero. But I also, again, feel like I would like it to end at some point. Ending is good.
yeah, I generally feel like that. But I do feel like the situations in this got super accelerated. It was like,
Yeah.
these guys had just barely finished their first year at this school, and then it's like, okay, the world is ending. Get with it.
Yeah.
But I feel like
Yeah,
that
you
tends to
grow up real
happen a lot. Like now that I'm thinking about it, Marty, you haven't really engaged with Naruto at all, but something similar happens there. Where like there is a process. These are ninjas in a school system, but then
Yeah.
stuff happens where it's like, all right, y'all got to drop out of school and deal with this.
Yeah.
So like it feels like a little bit of a cheat because you first get invested in the fact that this is a system that produces ninja. But then it's like, all right, well, we don't care about that. We care about just this story that involves the particular characters.
Yeah.
But because I finished that, I jumped into some more anime. I started Vinland Saga.
Nice.
I accidentally watched the last episode of season 2.
Before you watched anything?
Yeah, like someone else on
What?
my Netflix account must have watched all of Vinland Saga, so it just started me on the last episode. And I didn't realize it until the end. I'm like,
No. Oh.
so like that left.
You don't-
I felt like real stupid, but I was like, all right, I'll shake it off.
Didn't
Were
know
you like,
any
this
of
is a
the
really weird
characters.
pilot. You just
Yeah,
throw
like-
us
Yeah.
into the deep end.
That's the thing. Like, yeah, like I didn't know who any of the characters were, but the situation was such that like I could still follow what was going on. But like by the end of it, I was like, I feel like I should have had more context for this. And then I checked, it was like, yeah, okay, this was the last episode.
Probably.
I'm actually impressed.
Yeah.
Like, that's impressive.
Oh man, but I did go back to the beginning, and I will say so far, and I don't think it's the fault of me starting with that final episode. It's okay. Like there was a lot of hype around Vinland Saga when it first
Yeah.
dropped, so I've been like anticipating starting it for a while now. But like the first couple of episodes are just okay. Like maybe it ramps up after some time, but like yeah, like even seeing the finale episode, like I wasn't like blown away. But then again, like maybe a lot of that context was lost on me of what happened in that final episode. So I don't know. I'm gonna keep watching it, but so far I'm kind of like, this is all right. But that's pretty much it for me and what I've been watching. Dow Dodger says hype ruins things with expectations. That's true.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's hit or miss. Sometimes, yeah, hype will kind of screw you over when you go into something. Other times, it doesn't do it justice. Like Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. There's no amount of overhyping that exists for that movie. Go watch it.
I agree.
But anyway,
I mean,
we'll move
it
on
was
to
good,
our.
But, yeah.
We'll move on.
I don't think it was that good. It was like,
You
yeah,
didn't
it was
think it was that
great, but
good?
it wasn't. It wasn't as good as you keep talking about it
Really?
and not letting it go for like weeks
Really?
and weeks and months.
You've
and months.
overhyped it, Casey.
No,
Oh
the
my
underhyped
There's
god.
no way. There's no way.
Hoisted
Yeah.
by your own hype.
There's no way. Honey Money, you're broken inside. That's my.
I mean, yeah, that's more shtick. So yeah.
But we'll move on to our proper topics here. First off, Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League has been delayed to February 2nd, 2024. The writing's kind of on the wall after their last showing was received so negatively. But the thing is, like, that whole game is built around the live service gear, grindy systems. And in, what was it, like 8 months from when it was originally pushed? Like,
yeah, because it was supposed to be it was supposed to come out like right after Zelda, so next month.
yeah. So, and they did say, like, near that Fallout that they were gonna push it back a little bit, but like doubts were polished because it was like a month or something. Like, there was no way they were gonna change the fundamentals of that game. But this longer delay still doesn't necessarily seem like enough time. So I'm curious,
No.
like, do we think this is basically like, all right, well, we found something technical that's given us trouble, so let's actually push it back? Or is it like a real last ditch effort to, like, hey, what can we do to fix what everyone doesn't like about this game in 8 months? Because in my mind, I'm like, I can't imagine why they, like, unless they're giving up and just releasing it, pushing it back 8 months is an attempt to try and save it. So, like, I wouldn't be surprised if after 8 or 7 months, they're like, hey, we're going to push it back again.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wrote a thing for the site right after this news dropped, and anyone who I there's no world where this is still not going to be a live service game. Like, the 8 months is not long enough to change the fundamental bones of this game. Yes, they can polish. Yes, I think 8 months is long enough to figure out how to not make the game always online, which was another thing that came out. Like, even if you were playing single player, the game needed to always be online, which that seems kind of ridiculous. And it gives them time to figure out how to market this game in a way that's not going to be met with complete apathy and disdain by the audience like it was in February. I think they also just wanted to get out of the fucking crazy orbit of the next couple months. Like, Suicide Squad, I imagine, was going to be the lowest rated games of that huge stretch of Jedi Survivor, Redfall, Zelda, Final Fantasy, Street Fighter, Diablo. Like, there's only so much time and money people have in the next month and a half to buy and play games, and it felt like Suicide Squad was the bottom roll on that. On
Yeah,
that
and
pole.
weirdly so, because it's a DC branded thing from Rocksteady. Like,
Yeah,
like, it should have been able to hold its own in that group, but
and it's crazy to think how high Rocksteady was, like 2009 to 2015. Like, they were as, like, beloved a developer in that time period as anyone, like literally anyone.
yeah, it's like CD Projekt Red.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
funny mentioning CD Projekt Red is because you see, like, the other developers around that time, CD Projekt Red or BioWare, like, they've all taken, like, crazy shots to the chin over the last couple of years. So it'll be interesting to see who can kind of return from that.
Yeah.
I think there's something Rocksteady can do. I think the delay. I think one of the, like you said, it's too late to change the fundamental bones of the product. But from the trailer they last gave us, the one with the bad reception, there seems to be, in between the fudgy gameplay, there seems to be this kind of skeleton of the narrative of the Justice League and trying to take them down, and, like, that kind of dark side of them. That's the one of, if the only interesting thing about that game to me, is the interactions between the Justice League and, like, what they're going to be like. They could tighten the game up and stop trying to stretch it with boring looter shooter gameplay and have it be a little bit more narrative focused. That's what I could possibly see them doing. Like you guys said, it could be a always online thing. But marketing wise, I think, one, they should have just not said we've delayed it by. They should have given an explicit reason. Even if we understand you guys don't like the direction of the game, we're going to delay it a little bit and try and get it to the standard you guys want to see. That would win back a lot of fans.
But do you think that would set like unrealistic expectations? Because if they can't change as much as people
Hmm.
want. Because there's a lot of people who just don't understand game design. They'll be like, "Oh, you took
Yeah.
8 months and you didn't change this into a linear
Yeah,
thing starring the
100%.
Flash, or whatever." Like, then they'll still be disappointed.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's a double-edged sword, really, because no matter what you say, you're going to lose a lot of people. A lot of the general populace view delays as a completely negative thing, because they're not getting their product, and it means something's wrong. And I think in this case, there definitely is something wrong, and they want to fix it. But I think, and this probably comes back to the fact that they're such a huge company, and they've got such a huge publisher behind them, that the kind of honesty of being like, we're delaying it for these reasons, and we're going to try and make it better. Thank you for your feedback, stuff like that. You don't really see that from these big companies. Like, you could never see Nintendo saying, we're delaying Tears of the Kingdom because of the reception, and we're going to work on these things. You'd never see that. But I think it would win a few people back. And like you were saying with marketing, I think the next bout of marketing needs to be an incredibly tight trailer of story beats, of just like showing off the Justice League, showing off the interactions, and just like using those cutscenes to just be like, if this is what you wanted, here it is. And never show gameplay again.
That
Just never show off gameplay.
As smart as that sounds, it's also like like it's very disingenuous. They're like, hey,
it is. All game trailers are. Like, they really are. Like, bullshot is a thing. And even as good the Tis the Kingdom trailer was, there's definitely some things in that trailer that I spotted that were trying to put the game visually in a way that I think isn't really possible in engine.
They're running on a Switch 2. That's fine.
Yeah.
That's how the game will play next year when the Switch 2 launches.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think they fucked up on all corners, really. And even if
For
you're going to
Suicide
do
Squad?
it, not Tears of the Kingdom. I'm super hyped. I'm very happy with how that's looking.
How insane is it that Arkham Knight came out 8 years ago?
It'll
It'll be almost 9 years when this game comes out.
Well, their cred, their design cred has just completely nosedived.
Yeah,
because they've done nothing.
Yeah, because we were all waiting on this project like for a year. Like it was like after Arkham Knight, it wasn't that long before rumors swirled around like, oh, they're working on a DC thing. Starting,
maybe they're doing Superman, or maybe they're doing like
the word Justice League was attached to the project for a long time. Like, oh, they're making a Justice League game, but it turns out it was Suicide Squad killed the Justice League. Yeah, but then it turns out it's a looter shooter.
The thing is they probably were working on a Justice League game. That from the state the game looks at right now, that game has not been worked on for 9 years.
No,
it is. It looks so jank. Like, I know some of my students at uni could pump out comparable gameplay in a few months, and they're students.
They should get a job at
Rocksteady. Something's gone wrong. Like, something has gone wrong, and they were clearly working on something before. Well, there are two options. They were clearly working on a different thing. It got scrapped. That happens in the industry. It happens all the time. It famously happened with God of War, and then God of War PS4 was a turnaround in like a year and a half, and became absolutely huge. They were clearly working on something else, and then they were like, do a looter shooter, because that kind of looter shooter boom happened after Arkham Knight.
Yeah.
So they were working on something for a few years. Probably higher ups who have never played a game in their life probably came in and were like, you should do this because these are making a lot of money. And they were forced to pivot, probably with the exact same team who don't know how to design that type of game. And it's just like this. It's just a negative trend downwards. And that's
we've talked about a lot with chasing trends in the AAA industry, is that these things take so long to make that say they made this, the higher ups, because I think that's exactly what happened, Jay. I think the higher ups at Warner Brothers saw the success of probably Destiny 2 in 2017, 2018, and said, we want our own version of that, and you guys have to turn whatever you're working on into that. And by the time the years went by that they were able to implement that stuff, the industry kind of turned its back, or like, people kind of got tired of that. Like Destiny's still huge, and there are examples of it that are still huge, but also in that time, Anthem came and failed. Marvel's Avengers came and failed, and so there's like two things that you would have assumed were too big to fail: a new BioWare game and an Avengers game by the Tomb Raider team failed, and so that doesn't bode well for this thing.
There are such negative connotations with the genre of looter shooter. There aren't many friends of mine, and I'm sure you guys might be the same. If you describe a looter shooter to someone, they might just be like, "Oh no," like. One, there's a lot of disingenuous designs in a looter shooter. They're designed to be addictive and repetitive and never-ending.
But they were kind of the hot new thing.
Yeah.
For like a hot minute, it's a legitimate fad. Like when Borderlands, I believe, was like the one that really ushered it in. Folks, and that's like the whole reason why Gearbox is still in business, is because Borderlands garnered so much like goodwill or whatever. But like even the most recent Borderlands was like, this doesn't work anymore. Like y'all should have changed this because it's just the same thing. And I was very bored. But like Destiny 2 still works. I don't know what it is Bungie is doing to differentiate. Like I can't really put it into words, but like the core of that loop in Destiny still works. Like it's mad fun to like do looting shooting in Destiny.
It's an MMO. It's designed exactly like an MMO, and that's why it succeeded. And they well, even with the terminology, they have raids. They are copying the MMO formula, and it works because the MMO formula works. Other looter shooters are taking the core idea of extrinsic rewards, and like I made a video on this recently, on extrinsic rewards and stuff, but they don't understand what is gratifying about extrinsic rewards, and it becomes repetitive and boring and soulless, and it just compounds and makes exploration not fun, and it does all this stuff, and people have figured this out. Players aren't dumb. Like they know what they like. Well, they are, and I don't want to say it, but it's like, players are dumb, but players also, they don't know why, but they know what they like.
Right.
And it's not that. And a lot of the games that are catching up because they've just taken 5 to 6 years, or in this case 9, to be made, they're starting to realize that the players aren't going to fall for this, and they're not going to buy it because they know those things are coming, and it's going to be dead in the water. So I think Rocksteady are scrambling to see what they can do, and as Marty said earlier, I don't think they can do much.
Yeah,
which is a huge.
Yeah, like the amount of time. No, go ahead.
No, I was just because that's what I'm wondering, if they can save this. Like, is there any point? Like, it feels like the people that will show, either if they show something really good, sure, but otherwise it will be people showing up to see what they actually did. It's curiosity more than I want to play this game. Mm-hmm. It's just like, oh, did they save the shit show? That's what people are going to show up for.
We bring up, there are examples of games that have righted the ship after pretty rough launches, from No Man's Sky and Warframe and Final Fantasy 14, and even like Siege has like grown over the course of since when did it launch? 2014, 2015?
10 years ago at this point, I think.
10 years ago, yeah. So there's precedent for it, but I just can't see it here. Like, and it just fucking sucks. Like, they took a developer who was so good at a thing and had them do the opposite of the thing.
This is still going to be what it is.
Yeah, like an MMO, a live service game. Because there's a lot of games that attempt to be live service but never do it. Like, I view Kill the Justice League as a narrative-driven game with looter shooter elements.
Mm-hmm.
And Siege, you can repeatedly add content and hotfix things to get it to a point where the community are happy, and they did that very quickly, like years and years and years ago.
Mm-hmm.
The same with like Final Fantasy 14. Like, Final Fantasy 14 is a very unique case because they basically designed a new game.
Yeah,
just rebooted it.
but again, it's that MMO formula. I think literally the only way I can think, and I really hope they're doing this, is they dial back the overabundance of weapons and armor that you get. They take their gameplay and they shorten it right down, and they just focus on the narrative. And they're just like, it's effectively multiplayer, narrative-driven Justice League killing game.
That could work if they also like, in addition to shrinking down like the weapon grind, is make the characters kind of just unique classes. Like, if everyone's running around shooting, like they're doing the same basic thing. So like, make Harley Quinn's skill set unique to her, but effective in combat. Same with Captain Boomerang, blah blah blah. So that even if they're not like super popular characters who can draw an audience, the fact that they're gonna face the Justice League is enough. But when you start playing with them, make people care about them because they can do something cool. Even if Captain Boomerang is insufferable and really boring as a character, if his moveset is cool and fun, people will become endeared to him.
Yeah, they're fucked.
That's pretty much the thesis here. But we'll see. We'll watch. Because to be honest, the runaround stuff doesn't seem too terrible. It's just that the skin on top of it just doesn't seem to fit. Like, the fact that this has a DC license seems to be the main thing that's hurting it. If it was a more generic looter shooter, it might not have been treated so harshly, because it just looks like Crackdown to me, and Crackdown was fun.
I love Crackdown.
Yeah, but it would be forgotten pretty fast, though.
True. Like, in getting whatever that is in front of people, it would need something to push it, but
especially if it released in, like Marty said, this time of the year with so many killer games coming out, it would just die instantly.
Fair enough. But speaking of the opposite of dying instantly, I don't know, segue. Final Fantasy 16 got a full-on state of play. We got to see lots and lots of gameplay. Did you guys all get a chance to view either the trailer or the long showcase?
Yeah,
both.
Are any of you guys big Final Fantasy fans? Does this departure from the RPG roots into action gameplay work for you?
Yes.
No?
I hate it.
You hate it?
I hate it. Yeah, I hate it. I checked out. Yeah, I've checked out of. Sorry, but I checked out of Final Fantasy since Final Fantasy 15, because I could see it going. Like, they tried things with like 12. It's like, oh, we have a gambit system. Okay, I don't like this. This weird, but they're trying things. I'm like, I respect it. And then 13, like, oh, now we have paradigm shifts. Okay, and now it's more action. You're jumping in the air. There's like numbers flying everywhere, and that's where they like. I was like, okay, this is going in a way I don't like it. I don't like this direction. And then we got 15. Which is even more worse to me. That's great English. So I was like, I stopped at 15. I stopped at the last boss because I was like, I don't want to play this anymore. Fuck this. I just like let it out. I've just been on my PS4 for years. I haven't touched it because I'm like, no, I was just bored. Like, the whole like driving around, I just like put it on auto and like went and did something else, and like came back and like, oh, I'm here. And like I kept doing that. It was such a boring game to me.
Yeah, Geek Scrub says it's literally the same thing. Final Fantasy 15 is just boring.
It is super boring. And what I saw from the state of play from 16, I saw the whole of it. It's because the interesting thing about that, right, is the summon fights and stuff like that. I think that seems really cool. But everything else seems incredibly generic. It's just like action, 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 things, particle effects everywhere, things flying up, you get text on your screen, there's just damage numbers everywhere, and I'm so not interested in that. I just feel like that will get old very fast to me.
I kind of have to agree. Like, watching the majority of that trailer, I felt like this reminds me of like those anime spectacle arena fighters like Jump Force or like Naruto Shippuden or Hinokami Chronicles for Demon Slayer, where it's like you're doing like the bare minimum, but then like tons and tons of particle effects are flashing, and like people like it's all for show, and like there's not enough actual gameplay feedback. But I that's what it looks like, because Final Fantasy, as it's been going down this path, has tended to look like that. Yeah. Because what was it? Forspoken, which kind of used the Final Fantasy 15 engine, was very much like that. Like, you're kind of just mashing buttons and it looks like Frey is doing all sorts of cool shit. I want to say like the inclusion of the the Devil May Cry director may mitigate that quite a bit because like he does know action, how to get like the feel of a combat like that. So I still want to try it, but like 100% agree, it does look generic. Like for one, the main character is mad boring looking. Like I don't think I could pick him out of a lineup of
Fucking Clive.
Yeah, Clive. I was about to
Clive,
say,
yeah.
fucking Clive.
Super
I
boring.
thought he
The
was called
world looks
Man.
really boring. Like of all the Final Fantasy games I've like looked at and the few I've played, like even Tactics, which does have like a really hard, like old English fantasy vibe to it. This looks like The Witcher. And I don't mean that like, well, I guess I do mean it derogatorily because like The Witcher just looks like boring old like medieval
Fantasy.
times, right? Yeah. Like there was like a wooden board with like paper on it, and like you're standing in front of like just a mud hut and stuff. I'm like, what is this garbage, boring, ugly countryside? Like this is what you're spending all this money on? Like the game looks like super high fidelity, but like the world is just drab and ugly. Like it's mad basic.
It's medieval. It just looks like you're actually in medieval times.
I think
Yeah,
some
just
parts
good.
do. I
Brown
think there's
and
shots in
dirty.
those trailer where you're going to places. I'm like, I want to go to that place. There's a big old crystal coming out of the ground. Like, what's going on
go
over
there.
there?
Well, yeah, that just
Yeah,
looks
but-
like you're in space at that point. Like you're fighting
Yeah.
on like an asteroid, which is
And
You don't
that's
want
like
mud
in-game
huts. You don't
problem.
want space. What do you want, Casey? I guess there's something probably between mud huts and space.
yeah. So,
Probably. Let's hope.
Yeah.
No, but it's because that's what they've been going for since 15, and 13 still had color, and it wasn't. But now they're just like everything serious, dark, muted colors. That's the vibe they're going for, and they've stuck with it since 15. Like even this Final Fantasy VII remake kind of has that going on. It also has that kind of formula of like, oh, action.
Dare say something bad about Final Fantasy VII.
I don't like it, Marty. I'm very
How
sorry.
dare you?
I am replaying it currently. I do not like it. And
but I'm a fan of its switch to more action gameplay because you guys know I'm a notorious hater of the JRPG formula. So it does appeal to me that they're trying to make it more actiony, but like it's taken them a while to get the feel right. So like I'm hopeful that this will nail it. Like Final Fantasy VII Remake looked a lot closer to what I would like get enjoyment out of in terms of a combat system in a Final Fantasy game. So I've yet to try it. I do want to, but yeah, I am still curious enough to want to dive in there. And like you said, the icon battles, like those seem very Asura's Wrath to me, which is like you don't have full control. Most of it is kind of on rails, but it's so bombastic that it does seem like it's gonna be a good time. Because Asura's Wrath was just way over the top nonsense that you have the slightest amount of control over, but like you still feel engaged because of that. Like it was
Like
one of the
Bayonetta.
most context. You said like Bayonetta?
Yeah, because I get that vibe from Bayonetta. I
Yeah,
don't
sure.
play apart from the DMC style, like combo gameplay in between. I play Bayonetta to watch the absolutely insane stuff that she does to the angels and demons. Like, and you have slight control over it, but it just looks insane, and that's what I'm there for.
Yeah, and like there is definite enjoyment to be derived from that, even though that can be kind of on rails a bit. So yeah, if they can just nail that balance between like, okay, when I'm on the ground fighting, I feel like I'm doing this stuff and these cool combos, and like they showed off like early on they showed off kind of the accessibility features they have that can literally automate kind of just all of the combat.
Yeah.
Auto dodge and
Yeah.
But I don't get what the point is to the story mode. The auto dodge I'm all for, but the whole game is. And sorry to interrupt you, Casey. It was
No,
just
go
like,
ahead.
this game is an action RPG, and look at all this action, and then like, oh, but you can turn it off if you want to. You don't really have to like. You can just focus on the story. I'm like, what's the point then?
Right. It's like they
Watch
built,
a YouTube video then.
Yeah, that's kind of where I was thinking. It's like, yeah, sure, accessibility is great and all, but like, yeah, they really went so far as to be like, our fan base, like our core audience, may not like any of this, so let's make it so they don't have to deal with it, and then all you have left is what? Cutscenes
Story.
Yeah.
I mean, there's still
Talking to
exploration.
people,
I think
reading.
I think it's even playing through a game that minimizes the friction with a story mode is still way different than watching a YouTube video. Like exploring an environment to me is way like there's something about tangibly playing the game that you just cannot get from watching a YouTube video in my mind. And so
But I mean, this
I
game
don't know.
isn't from like I don't think they expressly said, but this game isn't like an open world thing, right? Like you don't just walk from location to
So
location. There's like
there's a map. Yeah, there's a map, and you
Yeah.
choose, and the nodes. Some of them are going to be open hubish nodes. But yeah, it is still you are picking locations from a map. Yeah, and they've said the game is kind of split between these three. It's like you play as Clive in his teens, 20s, and 30s. So you sort of get this full breadth of the story. It's pretty clear that they were modeling stuff after both The Witcher and Game of Thrones, which understandable. I mean, those were two, like, in terms of like sort of fantasy stories, those are probably the two big ones of the last 10 years or so. And then I don't know, I have like I'm as a lifelong Final Fantasy fan who does like Final Fantasy 15 really didn't do a whole lot for me other than like A for effort. Like I like the boys are on the car trip, that seems neat, but the execution isn't great. I'm hoping this is a return to form, and I'm fine with them deviating from traditional turn-based stuff, if only because Square still has that in
Thank you.
Bravely Default to
they've moved
all the
all that
Asano
stuff
project,
to
like
Switch.
Octopath Traveler and that kind of stuff. So, and Final Fantasy has always been a series about zigging and zagging. So, the path from 7, 8, 9, 10, 10-2, like these games are all like very different and very weird. So,
But that's what I liked, Marty. That's what I liked.
yeah, and I'm
they're
saying
different.
this is very different. Like
No,
this
but this is
continuing
not.
the different.
No, I don't think so. I
It's
really
different. It's
don't.
just not what you. It's not. It's different, but it's not the different you want. But it is still different.
The only thing that's different from like 15 is the icon battles. That's what I said. Like that's the only thing I'm interested in. The other
I don't think
parts
that's
is
the
like
like this is going to be this is an action game, whereas 15 like 15 was like a weird half step. Like it wasn't really a
Yeah, but I
real time
think that
action game. Whereas
combat
this
was
is going to be
terrible.
like this is going to be a real time action game. I think what they should have done with the state of play is drop a demo. I think they should have dropped a demo and let people go hands on with it.
yeah.
They said one
Yeah.
is coming
True.
though, still, right? Like a demo's coming later.
Did
At
they
some
say
point
that?
before release. I feel like I saw that in the comments that folks were saying a demo's coming.
Yeah, I hope so. I think that would be. I mean, if they have faith in their battle system, I think that's the way to do it.
Yeah, I agree. Like they need to get people to see what
Yeah.
that feels like.
Yeah,
'Cause
especially
that is
again.
the main thing I'm curious about is how does the combat feel?
Speaking of games of the next 2 months, Diablo did that, and Street Fighter did that. And granted, those are both like relatively known quantities, but they allowed people to go hands-on. I think that's what helped to drum up a lot of the hype. I feel like that's almost something Redfall should have done, is like, because Redfall's having a tough time breaking through. Like they are
Oh.
showing it a lot, and people
They
just
are.
aren't seeming to care. And then like Zelda and Jedi Survivor don't really need demos because those games will sell just fine. And
Jedi
Yeah.
Survivor does need a demo, but you're probably right, it's
Yeah.
gonna sell fine.
It's
I mean, it
so
needs a demo
serious.
for you.
For me,
you are
that first
unproven.
game, mad jank. But I also wanted to bring up on the tail end of this discussion, we seem to be getting a lot of sort of like directs or state of plays or showcases for just one big game. Like a significant amount of time is being dedicated to showing off one big AAA release. And I have to say, I feel like that it comes off a little like desperation. Like these companies are like, they invest so much money, so much time into like these AAA projects. It's good for us because like as a consumer, we're like, okay, I want to see if this big budget game that's going to be like $70 on release is going to be worth my time. But also like they want to sell you on it. They're like, hey, here's this really long commercial for why you should buy this game that we spent a lot of time and money on. And like oftentimes, like more often than not, those big reveals seem to be hurting these developers. Like their big long commercials aren't appealing, or at least they're not appealing to like the video game enthusiast, like critics and press. But like if you look at the comments underneath the Final Fantasy video, everybody is hyped. They're like, "Oh, this is everything I ever dreamed of for Final Fantasy." So like, maybe we're just out of the loop in that regard. Like we're being hypercritical of this. So I'm just curious what you guys think about like this trend, because like Tears of the Kingdom, like Nintendo's been doing that. Who else had like just a real long?
And Suicide Squad had that.
Yeah, Suicide Squad. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I was just talking about that,
Redfall's had a bunch of them. Yeah.
It's a big change in like how games are being marketed ever since the pandemic hit. We're seeing a lot more of these, mainly because those big events are, like E3 are being effectively cancelled at the moment. So we're seeing a lot of these big showcases happening. It really helps in some instances, like revealing these events, like Hi-Fi Rush did incredibly because of the way it was marketed in this way. But it also does the complete opposite, because we were talking about it earlier, the idea of bullshot, and how but 10 years ago, for a big AAA game like this, we would be lucky to get a handful of 3-minute trailers that were mainly story driven. And now there are a lot of people who are now watching these big reveals of gameplay and going, actually, that looks terrible. I'm not buying that. And they never touch it because they've been shown. And if they bought it originally, they might have found they loved the gameplay, but they've made a judgment on the gameplay that they've seen. So it definitely is harming a lot of the developers, and you only really see what people doing it from beloved companies, Rocksteady, Nintendo, like Final Fantasy, stuff like that. They know these games are going to sell, so they're like, how can we feel more genuine and less seedy with how we're marketing our game? I think that's part of it, and get people hype. And it's such an easy way to market the game, right? There's a big event happening, you draw a lot of people in, they all watch it, and then you get all those diehard fans who are watching it really, really excited. That's, apart from paying people to do that event, that's just free. It's just really easy free marketing. And I don't know. I think, like you said, it's good for the consumer. I think we're getting to see what the games are actually like. You saw the two sides of the spectrum. Final Fantasy did it, and people are getting hype. There's some criticisms about what they're doing, but like hype.
Yeah, like the people who it was aimed at, it definitely worked for them, right?
They are now 100% buying the game. Kill the Justice League did it, and now everyone's seen what it is, and it's backfired, right?
Yeah.
So we're winning as consumers. Like everything's really good on our end. But I'm wondering if seeing this happen, I think we're going to start seeing a trend of if they're not totally confident, like with Breath of the Wild, Final Fantasy, stuff like that, I reckon we're going to see a trend of not seeing developers do this, because it can backfire really hard.
Yeah.
Because for the Justice League, due to their failure there, they have severely hampered their profits. They have basically killed their game. Because all the word that spread is that this game's terrible, that kind of direct that they did bombed, it's done.
So like the reverse of that situation, right? If they had basically kept the majority of gameplay like under wraps until release, and then just released the live service thing, do you think that they'd have like kind of circumvented all of the negative hype, or like would the negative hype be around the launch and folks were like, oh, this is not what I wanted?
Which is what games do, and have been doing. They just skipped a step. A lot of games will keep everything in the dark. They'll let people say, oh, it looks live service, it looks rubbish. And they'll say, no, look at all our pretty visuals, look at our story beats. It will release, gameplay is trash, but they've already made 10 million on sales, so they don't care. They've just showed their hand, because they think that will get more people to get hype and buy it, but it did the opposite. They've shown their gameplay and how bare bones it is, and then they've shot themselves in the foot, both feet. With a shotgun.
Oh my god, they have no legs. Oh no.
I think we'll see less and less of it, I think, in the future.
Wraithbow in chat says, I'm a gamer and I don't watch these single game ones because I know it's that game and I don't watch it all. Sorry, I didn't catch that last part. But
I think
if they do a collection of games, it gives me a reason to watch.
Yeah,
I mean, I know a lot of people who didn't watch the Zelda stuff because they were like, "I'm buying Zelda. What do I need to?"
Yeah,
True.
I
I'm
didn't
buying
watch
it.
the gameplay.
You don't need to show
I
me
didn't watch the
anything.
gameplay reveal.
Even though I'm
because-
still 90% sure almost everything they've shown from Tears of the Kingdom is in its ostensibly its Great Plateau. I think those opening floating islands that they keep showing are your Great Plateau tutorial thing, which is what they did with Breath of the Wild. Almost everything they showed pre-release was the Great Plateau, which
Okay.
has me excited.
I mean, that's pure speculation, though. But
Yeah, but it's my speculation.
Question is-
You know who didn't need to show anything before launch? Elden Ring. They were fine. From something.
yeah, they were
shit about
absolutely
you.
fine.
yeah,
The
yeah.
thing- But they also did a network test. People had hands on with that before.
They did do the
was
network test.
released.
Oh man.
And that actually, I think that might be the key here. Like, if you do have like a big,
Hands on.
yeah, like a big giant AAA thing, and you're like, hey, are we doing this right? Like, should we try and drum up some support for this? You got to get a playable demo out into the world.
But you have to be confident with it. It's
That's
clear
so
Elden
true.
Ring was confident. It's clear Diablo was confident. It's clear Street Fighter's confident.
But wasn't, I mean, I feel like Justice League, like Suicide Squad, had to be at least somewhat confident to say we're going to have a whole show dedicated to showing you what this game is.
I think
Like, they
their
thought people were
producers are
going to like
confident.
it. So I'm wondering, would it have been the, because that's what Jermaine was saying, like, if you just released the game, like, the people who were hyped would have played it and then loved it and you got all your money or whatever, right? Like, then, like, the haters, us, the press, who would be like, oh, this is a little too much like the other thing, like, it wouldn't matter because they already made all their money and the fans are happy, right? If folks got hands-on and those people who liked the franchise were like, oh, this actually is pretty fun, like maybe the gameplay loop is just fun, and like that's what was most important versus like what expectations were met, maybe they would have avoided this because folks wouldn't have cared because they were having fun in the demo.
A demo has way more value. Like, so do you know I was describing that if you release one of these gameplay showcase events, say I am on the fence. I see the gameplay and I feel just from watching that it looks a bit generic. I am then not going to buy the game. If you circumvent that and do a demo, there's a chance that the people who are on the fence might play it, and due to like the factors like the sound and like the game feel through the controllers, like watching a game and playing it are completely different things. It goes back to the story mode for Final Fantasy. Feeling the feedback of the combat in your hands on a controller is completely different than just watching it, 720p on a YouTube. And those people could get won over from that demo. And it allows for more coverage rather than just like the press going, everyone thinks Suicide Squad looks like trash. You also have the fans who are posting content and doing things and going, actually, I've played it. And yeah, there are some issues, but these bits are really good. And then that's better for your marketing because people aren't just going to like, say, one outlet and looking at opinions there. They're like trying to get them from people they trust. And that allows for more people to give your game a chance. All because they're doing a demo rather than just showing gameplay. It's demos. We need more demos. We need to have a demo renaissance. The
360 era,
they've died out. And
like
we need more.
forced every game that released to have a demo.
Yeah.
That was a wild time, and I tried a lot of games and bought a lot of games because like this demo like ruled, and also ended up buying Stranglehold, which sucked because the demo was really really good and the rest of the game
It was a great demo. Great demo.
But didn't Forspoken have a demo?
That's true, yeah. And
Yeah,
I
how
was
did
down on
that go?
Forspoken off of his demo, and I really wanted to believe that the demo was misrepresenting that game, but folks did not seem to really like it that much. So, pretty good demo, I guess. A good demo for what the game was.
There's definitely a risk of bullshot in a demo, right? Like you can, in the company I work for, in making a game, we are in the process of making our demo MVP, and like there are chances that we could take to make the game feel like it's going to be a lot bigger, or like I don't want to say more polished, but make the demo like AAA amazing, and then have the game be not that. Just like a trailer, you can make a trailer look unbelievable, and then the gameplay and the actual game doesn't really sell you on that. So there's room for bullshot in demos, but at least you get to feel it, you get to play it, rather than just seeing it and making your.
Yeah, I thought it was
judgments
cool
on
that going back to Resi 4, that they released the demo before release of
Yeah.
the very famous opening section with the village and everything. But I imagine that was a demo that
They
probably
didn't
helped
need
sales.
it. Yeah, but they didn't need it.
No, but I don't think they needed it for fans of Resident Evil 4, but I think it assuaded some people worried that the game wasn't going to feel good, or some people who were on the fence. So I think ultimately it was probably a net positive. And it drums up a bunch of
Yeah.
hype before it's just a marketing tool. Like a bunch of people are covering the demo, streaming the demo,
Yeah,
that
it's
kind of thing.
definitely word of mouth. Like whatever fringe
Yeah.
person who'd never heard of this remake coming out will see that there was a demo because some random person was like, "Oh, I played the demo
Yeah.
and this is my thoughts." So now,
Yeah, I still
get it.
love demos. Lampy was saying I think people in games media care more about demos than the general public, though. I'm not sure because I like Steam Next Fest is like a big deal. People get excited for that. People like
Yeah.
I love Steam Next Fest. I like downloading like a shit ton of indie demos and being like, should I continue to follow this game or am I fine? Kind of putting it in the back of my mind.
Yeah, the
Yeah, I'm just
problem
judging
is,
from people in chat during escape streams and those things. It was like, oh, there's the demo. People are like, yeah, I'll go get it.
Yeah,
Like
that-
I got
yeah.
and
several
that's the thing,
demos
like,
this time.
It's discoverability. Like folks will
Yeah.
go and play demos if they know that demos exist. A lot of times,
Yeah.
like they just don't know that there's a demo for a
Yeah.
thing that they're interested in. Like people
And,
want to
like,
get their hands on it.
The first time I ever heard about Dredge was Frost hyping up the demo like last year. So like, that was one of those things like you find a demo early, you can get on that train early. He bought that stock low. He's gonna be cashing out high.
It's just like what's best for your marketing and how do you win over people on the fence. And it's interesting what Lampy said, because I think there are people who you either do play demos or you don't.
Sure.
It's like with early access, you either are okay with buying early access games or you just never touch them because you don't
Yeah.
for whatever
Yeah.
reason.
Yeah, it's funny.
and
I'm
I
pro
think,
demo.
yeah.
I don't give a shit about early access though.
Yeah,
there we go.
same.
And
Yeah,
they're very
also.
different fields.
Yeah.
But it's how do you win over on the fence people? People who have already said, I'm not getting that game, are not going to buy the game unless they hear someone they trust, be it a YouTuber or a friend or something like that, say positive things about the game and change their mind. The people who aren't going to buy it aren't going to buy it. The people who are in love with the IP, which happens a lot with these games that get these showcases, are going to buy the game anyway. I'm sure there are a few million people who love the Arkham games and are going to buy Kill the Justice League regardless of what people have been saying about it.
Yeah.
But it's the on the fence people that the developers have to worry about. And what's better? Is a demo better or is a gameplay showcase better? One's cheaper. The gameplay showcase is way cheaper and way easier to fake. But I think the demo is the best one overall.
I agree. So we can we're running a little long here, but you guys got a place to be? You got stuff to do?
No, good.
I'm good.
No,
You good? All right,
we
okay,
can spend an hour and 15 minutes on Rovio. I don't think we're gonna have that much to say on Rovio.
Yeah, this may not be a super long topic here, but it is significant because it's weird. Sega, everyone's favorite blue hedgehog pen, is apparently looking to buy the Angry Birds developer Rovio for a cool $1 billion. So like kind of small fries in this current world of like really big acquisitions, like multi-billion-dollar acquisitions. But $1 billion is still a shit ton of money.
Yeah.
And Angry
for
Birds,
what they're buying.
Yeah, Angry Birds hasn't been super relevant for several years, at least in pop culture. Like they still sell toys. Like weren't there like two
They're
movies?
making a new movie.
Yeah, like another like
They're
I
making a
think
new
this
one.
TV series has another movie coming. So Angry Birds definitely still sells. I don't know what else Rovio has attached to its name, but like I'm super curious. Why do you guys think Sega might have interest in basically taking over this IP from Rovio, or just taking over Rovio in general? Like, what does Sega have planned?
Trying to dominate the mobile gaming space.
my
Mobile
guess.
gaming is just like an unbelievable beast. That, like
Yeah.
I don't think the general public grasp how much money mobile games make. Like, especially ones that are free, they make an unbelievable amount of money. Like it's dumb, and everyone is trying to make the app that then blows up, the Flappy Birds, because that game
Next Angry
made.
Birds.
Yeah, the next
Yeah.
Angry Birds, and they're like, oh, well, we can't just make interesting games, so we'll just buy the company that did it and have continued to see success by re-releasing basically the same game over and over and making it into a franchise and try and get them to do it again.
Are there new Angry Birds games?
Yes.
Yes?
Yeah.
Yes, there are new Angry Birds games every year. The thing is, Angry Birds does not have a like Angry Birds peaked a decade ago.
Yeah.
Like Angry Birds was the biggest mobile game.
Yeah.
I think for a while of all time.
Yep.
And then I'm pretty sure Candy Crush came along that changed that.
They crushed the birds.
They crushed the birds. Rest in peace. My guess is that they want Rovio so that they can say, hey, here is our library of IP from Sonic to Choo Choo Rocket to fucking Yakuza to Jet Set Radio to Crazy Taxi. Please turn these into things that will generate constant revenue for us on phones, because that is somewhere that we have not been able to figure out how to do yet.
So you think they want to ask Rovio to make their very iconic characters and franchises profitable on mobile?
I think so.
Probably.
I think it's almost like the Sony Bungie acquisition, where it's like, we want you to be the template for how do we create live service games on PlayStation, because we don't understand how to do that. So please help us shepherd that.
It's hiring experts in the field.
Yeah.
Okay. I can see that. I that does make sense, because because Sega does have some mobile offerings. Like I know they have like a Sonic Temple Run clone or whatever that apparently is very popular, because like my kid was playing it, and then like when he would go to like a cousin's house or a friend's house or whatever, those kids were also playing that same exact game. Like, oh, I've done this and this in that Sonic game, whatever. So like Sonic will sell on mobile. So like it does seem like a good play to be like, oh well, let's get someone who knows what they're doing on the platform to like use these characters, right? But I have in the back of my mind, I feel like Sega may also be trying to position itself in this new world of really big video game acquisitions to inflate how much they can eventually be eaten up for.
Interesting.
Like I think like Sega as they are right now could not demand anywhere near as high as some of these other, because Sega has name recognition, but like I just lost Marty.
Marty got upset and left.
Yeah, he didn't want to hear that.
No.
He'll be back soon.
Sega's worth billions. Smashed it.
But I do think like Sega, like if someone's gonna buy Sega right now, like I don't think they could command anywhere near as high as another very notable name in the video game industry.
Yeah,
But if they can build up some market share with like this mobile wing, then yeah, it's like all right, well Sega plus Rovio plus whatever else they are able to get their hands on in the near future could be an appetizing meal for like Sony, who might be looking for other big acquisitions.
Yeah, I think that's really smart, and I think you're right, and I think it's both. I think it's they're like, we need to get value because at some point we're going to be eaten by a bigger fish. Like it's inevitable. Like the way we're going, these companies are starting to merge and be bought out. And they're just like, right, like you said, get a foot in the mobile gaming space. And the question is like, logistically as a company, do you spend 200, 300,000 to some people who might know what they're doing, have done some semi-successful things on mobile, and hope they make something successful? Or do you double dip? Hey, yo, Marty.
There he is.
Do you double dip? What happened?
I got so mad that you guys were saying mean things about Angry
That's what we killed it.
That's
we
pretty
killed
much
it.
what we said. Yeah.
My window's closed. I don't know why.
Phil, Casey, fill Marty in on what you said, because I thought it was really
Well, yeah.
smart.
If you miss the bulk of that, essentially, I think this is a long ploy from Sega to build up their market share so that they can eventually be acquired by a bigger company for a lot more money, for more billions than they could without it.
Yeah, and it shows that it's like, oh, not only do we know how to do console games, but look at us, we know how to do mobile games because we have the Angry Birds folks. Yeah, that's entirely possible. Sega's been in the the acquisition conversation sort of scuttlebutt for a long time.
Yeah, for a long time. Like ever since they
Yeah.
stopped making consoles, folks were like, "Oh, Nintendo's just gonna eat them."
Yeah, yeah. And now you're like, oh, are Microsoft or Sony or Tencent or fucking what are all those?
Shit.
What's that weird company that keeps buying companies? The one that who
Embracer?
like Embracer, the one who like owns Lord of the Rings or whatever.
Oh yeah.
I would actually love the day of Nintendo acquiring Sega. I think that would be
That would be cool.
historic. It would be
Mhm.
historic, and I can see the announcement of it, of like Sonic and Mario, like
Right.
I don't know, like kissing or something.
No, they would never do that.
They just like snog.
You'd have a bunch of conservatives buying the games and then running them over and shooting them with guns like they did with their Bud Light.
Yeah.
Oh God.
I don't know. Like, I think that would be awesome, right? If like Microsoft got Sega, I'd be like, yeah, okay, whatever. But like, if Nintendo got Sega, I'd be like,
Yeah.
damn, like I'm gonna
Yeah.
burn my Genesis.
Matt 61-161 says Sega does what Nintendo do.
I love it.
Oh,
That's really good.
Matt.
Yeah. And Matt mentions also, Sega owns Atlas as well. So
True.
That's
yeah.
true.
So like Sega has some, they have some hitters, but like they kind of lack like mega hits. And so yeah, if with a little time in the oven, if they could get Rovio to give them, because I think just the optics of it, be like, oh, Rovio, who made Angry Birds, is making a mobile thing featuring Sonic or featuring Persona or whatever. Like that'll get a lot more attention than probably Sega doing it on their own or Rovio doing another thing on its own. Like the merger itself will help boost both companies and both their IPs, whatever.
Yeah.
I think, and so that will inflate their market share, and they could probably get bought by somebody.
Sega's also a company like Capcom that were like kind of in the doldrums 10, 15 years ago, but now they have like you said, Persona and like Sonic Frontiers and that Sonic Murder Mystery game that just came out. Like,
Yeah, which
a really charming kid.
folks have really liked, like $1 million
Yeah,
first
and
day.
The Yakuza series is huge, so they have they have some clout to their name. And then there's those rumors of them, the Persona 3 remake, and then Jet Set Radio, like a little bit of footage released, which they said they wanted to be their quadruple A super game. And I'm like, no,
How?
that's an indie, that's a niche game. Don't do it.
What?
Yeah.
It's that meme of like Walter White screaming out the window. It's like, no, Sega, don't have expectations this high.
Yeah, that is wild that they would think that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's wild that they would say
Well,
that.
it's
out
also
loud,
wild that
even
you
if
would
they
say
did- if
Perfect
they did
Dark's
think it.
going to be a quadruple A game. Don't do that.
No,
Just
that
make a
should
regular
have
game.
worked.
Let's make a regular
That
game.
should have worked.
That should
Remember
have
the Perfect Dark
worked.
game?
It was
Remember that?
positioned perfectly to do exactly that, and they have, like most of the stuff, Microsoft has somehow botched that entirely. But any closing thoughts on this Sega Rovio deal?
I like when you say their names back to back, Sega Rovio. It sounds like
Yeah, that would be
like
good. Like if they don't get
like a
acquired
magic
and it's just a
spell.
merger, then yeah, they'd be like, oh,
Yeah.
it's Sega Rovio,
It sounds way better than Activision Blizzard King.
Acti Blizz Kid.
I just like the idea of flinging. It's just Angry Birds, but Sonic. So you're just
Like,
like,
yeah, he
flinging
just
a
has
tiny
a spinning
ball
ball.
version of Sonic.
I mean, he's already a little ball. Yeah.
Well, and he already gets flung about everywhere. Like,
Yeah.
it's, it's perfect. You could
Angry
just
Hogs?
make, fast
That's a different
fast
game.
birds,
Angry Hogs is
But- birds the hedge pig.
Birds the
I don't
Hedge
know.
Pig. I think that's
They
perfect.
they
yeah.
pay people lots of money to figure this stuff out.
Sounds
Yeah.
like
Not one of
an
them.
Eldritch thing.
Yeah.
Maybe says, isn't that just Sonic Pinball? Well, now you can just cross over all the things. You can have Angry Pinball, where the birds are the balls.
Pinball?
They could have made Angry Pinball anyway. Sega don't own pinball.
Angry Pinball.
You're right, but no one would pay attention to it until Sega joined the conversation.
Shit, yeah, you're right.
All right, I think that actually does it for today's show. Great conversation, guys. Honey Money, where can folks find you on the internet, and what will you be doing on the internet once they find you?
That
Yeah,
sounds
that sounded very strange.
Yeah, I was like, what? Excuse me, what? What are you implying, sir? No, it's just twitch.tv/honeymoney__, because Honeymoney was taken.
We gotta do something about this.
Yeah, I
hunt down
know.
the
But
honey
now
money.
I locked in though. Like my YouTube channel is also that. I could have chosen something else, but because weirdly enough, Honey Money is taken by like a Korean news channel or something. I don't know. There's something. It's a Korean channel, and I was like, this looks very like official. Like it's a
Huh.
company's actual YouTube. And I'm like, oh, that's weird. So yeah, I've locked into the underscore now, but I still have a different name on like TikTok and Twitter because underscore was taken there too. I don't know. It's so strange.
Someone's hunting your tag.
Yeah, I don't know.
Speaking of your TikToks, I watched the one you posted to Twitter. Very funny.
Oh, the Swedish one?
Yes. Please go watch Honey Money.
Listen,
I haven't seen this. I need to go find it.
we don't. But listen, because someone asked me like, I don't know anything about Sweden. Like, do you have do you have your own language? I was like, yes, we have our own language. We don't speak like the Swedish chef. Don't let Americans fool you, because this comes up all the time. So I was like, yeah. And then also what I realized.
That's a good idea. Let me link Honey Money.
Oh,
If I can find
and
it.
after I did it, I just like realized. Oh wait, isn't hurdy-gurdy like an instrument? Because it
Yeah,
is. It's a
hurdy-gurdy.
it's a weird instrument.
Yeah.
And I'm listen, just the Swedish chef thing. I'm upset because y'all keep referencing it. He doesn't say words. He doesn't say any words. He just makes noise. Listen, we gave you ABBA, we gave you Volvos, we do shit. We give you so much music. All the Skarsgårds, that's us.
Oh, I love the Skarsgårds.
Yeah, we did
I
that.
love
I'm a
all
big
of
fan
them.
of Swedish
They
music.
they say words. They say words.
Top to
So,
bottom.
yeah.
Oh my God,
They've
Stellan
been known
Skarsgård.
to
He
say
said my
words,
favorite words
yeah.
in Andor. He's so good.
Yeah, they're great. But yeah, I'm just streaming. I have to finish Pentiment, so that's what I'm gonna do instead of Masochist Mondays till I finish it. That game is too long. There's a lot of reading.
Seems like
'Cause
it's
I
almost
thought-
like a tough streamy game. There's a lot of words.
Yeah, exactly. But like, you come to a point where you're like, because you're supposed to solve this murder, right? And you come to a point where you think like, oh, the game should end here, because you're like, oh, I pointed out the suspect, and like something happens, and then it's like, no, it's 6 hours more, and I'm like, wait, what? So I'll finish it because I'm
You have
invested now.
the post-murder
But yeah.
cooldown.
Yeah, kind of. Or like who really did it? I guess it's the thing now.
Who actually done it?
Yeah, and I got a man murdered, but it's okay.
It happens.
It's fine.
Sure, he did some other crime.
Jamate, where can folks find you? What do you have coming up?
I just had an episode of Design Delve release on if the Elden Ring bosses are unbalanced. My next one that I'm working on is on Dredge and Resident Evil 4's inventory system, but that one's going to be delayed slightly because I'm going to Canada next week. I can't say, well, it's an unnamed documentary project. Some of you in the Discord, Escapist Discord will know, but it's all hush hush. Making a documentary with the other peeps in the documentary team. Going to be gone for a week. So Design Delve is going to be delayed slightly. So for all two of you who are excited for that,
I was excited for it. I want to watch a Dredge video.
Yeah. So yeah. Other than that, I'll be in the Escapist Discord. I'll be in my own Discord. If you want to chat or just talk about some design bollocks, hit me up. Yeah, that's me.
Nice. Marty, how about you? What do you have coming up? Where can folks find you?
Yeah, all the regular streams. Check out the Escapists. Bunch of great written content on there. I'm publishing something almost one piece every day, so go check it out over there. And then you can follow me on my personal Twitch channel, Twitch at McBiggity. I'm jamming through more Skyward Sword, which I'm going to be doing later today, probably in the evening, because I think Amy is streaming at some point this afternoon.
Oh.
Don't know.
For
Wait, on the
newly
Escapist
released,
or?
right?
The Escapist, newly released.
Oh yeah, I was
I
like,
know what time that's in. I saw a request, an art request come in. Apparently, it's more Path of Exile. Spoiler.
oh okay.
So
There's a new thing. I
Yeah, like
think,
I was thinking new season dropped or something recently, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, season 15. I don't know what that is. I just made that up. Also, you can check out Casey's Mega Man Battle Network review went out during the show.
Hell
Let me
yeah.
tell you, comments not happy.
I
Oh
Not
no!
surprised. Anytime I review a thing that's Pokemon adjacent and I for sure don't like it, then they come for me.
Aw.
Well, it's like the
dare you.
hardcore fans are very not happy.
Right. But also, fuck Pokemon. Fuck Pokemon and Battle Network
Ooh,
Legacy.
ooh.
Now
We're
what?
getting spicy in here now.
Oh my god, quick run.
Someone clip
on the
that.
stream.
Someone clip that.
Does that do it for you, Marty?
Yeah.
So yeah, you can find me at SimmyGears9 on Twitter. Later today, I'll be joined by Superman Jeff. That's proper English, right?
Yeah.
I don't know why that doesn't sound right to me anymore as I said it. I'll be joined by Superman Jeff for Super Smash Sunday at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the Open Party channel. So you can head over there and follow and hit the notification thing so you're aware when we go live. It's 3 full hours of one-on-one King of the Hill style high-level Smash play. If you're not at high level and you want to play with us, do it anyway. We will help you learn how to get there. We've done it before. We have proof.
Said King of the Hill style. I was just picturing the show King of the Hill. Damn it, Bobby. Gotta do your Ultra Smash.
No smash balls, Bobby. But
Final destination. No items.
Now we need AI. We need AI King of the Hill
reviewing
playing Smash. Yeah.
Damn it, Sakurai.
But other than that, again, if you follow Twitter, you'll see like when I'm going live on the Escapists with various streams throughout the week. What do you call it? I wanted to say side quest. No, that's an entirely different thing, which is out for people to watch.
Yeah,
yeah,
I was
side
just
quest.
about to. I
Yeah, you have-
completely forgot. A side quest just dropped, which surprise, I'm in.
Right? Yeah.
Been hiding this for like 7 months or something.
Which is surprising because
Film a
Jermaine is
long
really
time.
bad at keeping secrets.
Yeah, I am. And
I think
people
you're
have been
great.
coming into the streams and being like, RJ, I'd really like it if Susan came back. And I'd be like, yeah, I'll talk to Jack. I'll talk to Jack. I'm just like sweating. But it's out. It's really nice. It was an interesting episode, but the ones that are coming up are unbelievable.
Yeah,
Like some of the
what I've
craziest
heard,
shit.
Like you need, like this is a, like you maybe could have skipped side quest 1 and still like been able to follow the plot because like it gets referenced a little bit and it's kind of like you need to watch side quest 2. Like it is very important for like just what happened before and what will happen after.
Yeah, and it's check it out. It's good fun. We're wrapping up the latest episode. I'm doing sound design for the episode 2 tomorrow, so that should be coming out real soon.
There's
Yeah,
gonna be
check it
4
out, guys.
episodes this season, correct?
Yeah, 4 episodes, mainly because all 4 of us, including Jack, can't shut up. So we recorded for way too long. So Jack was like, it's going to be 4 episodes because it's too long rather than 3.
So it's like one of those split last episodes in the trilogy.
Yeah, episode 1, Jack did such a fantastic. I won't go into too much into this. He did such a good job editing it because we recorded for 3 hours, and he edited that entire thing down to like what is it, like an hour and
Hours and change. Yeah.
20. It's nuts.
Jack is a national treasure.
He really is.
But that pretty much does it for today's.
Look,
Wait,
there's
no,
a donation
there's a. Where's the donation?
in the chat.
Dow Dodger Esquire.
So I see. Yeah, Dow Dodger with 1,000. What is that?
Bits.
Party?
Bits.
Bits. Thank you.
Party?
1,000
Bits.
cheers.
They're always
That's what it said.
they're always
I hovered
like,
over it.
they're
It
all
said
bits.
party 1,000. That's what it said.
they're
Thank
always
you
bits.
for the parties.
I'm not
I
a Twitch. I'm not a Twitch.
1,000
okay?
parties is too many. What's the currency? Like, how much is 1,000 parties worth? Like, depending on the strength of the yen.
I don't know. I don't know what to make of that.
I
But
can't
thank you
remember.
so much
It's
for your
like
donation.
$1 or $10 or something.
Incredible.
Appreciate it.
Something
Thank you,
like
Dow
that.
Dodger.
Thank you so
I
much.
think it's 10.
That's gonna do it for episode 101 of the Sigma Show. Thank you for joining us. Thank you everybody in the chat. Thank you to my 3 co-hosts. We will see you all next week. Bye. Take care.
Goodbye.
Later.
See you, team. Goodbye.
Hey.